You have reached the Geek Elite. Good luck.
So, I have a question. Have you ever wanted to get into comics, but you just didn't know where to start? Well, welcome to Comics Quest. I'm JD Martin, and every week I sit down with a guest to talk a comic that I think anybody can pick up and start their comics reading journey. We take a look at psychedelic sci-fi, fantastical action, heart-wrenching love stories, and of course, superheroes. So check us out at certainpov.com or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Welcome everybody to We Have Issues, Geek Elite Media show that's about everything literary. Books, comic books, webcomics, manga, and everything else you might be reading. We're here to talk about it. As always, I am your host, Keith, and I'm joined by my stalwart sidekick who is always at my side, Josue.
Big comics week. Oh my god, did it feel so good. So many good books this week.
It is a lot. Like, I actually didn't post my new comic book tape picture because I was too busy reading them.
Dude, I didn't do my indie gig tweet because I was just like, we got busy with the guinea pig, but it was just like, fuck, you know what? I'm just gonna dish it all out because these are all fucking great books.
Yeah, not only is it a massive week for comics, but we're coming off of Comic-Con.
Yes.
If we were to talk news, we'd be talking all day. So what I want to go ahead and do is just quickly tell you, every panel at Comic-Con is available on YouTube for free. You can go watch them. I highly recommend what's going on in independent comics. Me and Josue talked about that one quite a bit. With some of the more indie publishers, including Scout, Red 5, Source Point Press, just talking about what they're doing, which is really cool. And I recommend you check out the X-Men one. I know we both really enjoyed the X-Men one.
Oh, that was so much fun.
Yeah.
The Indies one was cool. I had to think back on that one because it's cool that we do this, what you and I do, just buy as many comics as we can, and sometimes hit or miss. We're still reading them and talking about them. So seeing that the Source Point Press? It's like, if you weren't reading the comics, it was very informative, and it might just catch you. A comic or two might catch your eye, but I love that. But on my side, it was I already read all four of those. It was almost like it's old news for me, but it's I'm at the same time, it's that panel in particular maybe wasn't for me. It was just to really broaden their audience, but still all great books, a lot of good stuff that they were talking about. It was the Aftershock one because they were talking about Seven Swords, and it's I'm already reading this. It's all good stuff.
I really liked how they talked about the businesses.
Yes.
Running their businesses, how they're expanding. Scout goes into some detail about the comic tag thing that I talked about. I really enjoyed that. Figuring out what their strategies are, what they're planning to do.
Right.
They talked about Scoot being a part of Scout and stuff like that. It was really cool. I like that. So,
hey, CDCC, give Vault a panel next time.
See, I actually want to ask the Wassels if they are interested. I feel like they're, and I love them to death, but I feel like they're hipster enough to be Comic-Con. I'm not doing Comic-Con. That's for losers. So I don't even know if they want to. If they do, they should. That would be awesome. I will 100% moderate that panel, guys. Just so
it's they're not even they're new, but not new enough to have a short catalog. They can just display so much.
Yeah, but yeah, check them all out. Tons of great panels, but highly recommend the X-Men one.
Yes.
If you're a Batman fan, check out the Batman one. If you're a Superman one, check out the Superman one. If you are a horror fan,
yes,
check out the DC horror one because that was cool.
Ooh, okay.
They talk about the nice house on the lake and all the other stuff. So
there was a lot of videos, every hour they were just hey, there's this slot to just jump into. Where I was just for a second, it was almost intimidating because I started going into them really, really late. So yeah, I just started going to my comfort zones, and all the tag words and the horror ones, the queer horror ones were really fun too. The Junji Ito Q&A one, but it was kind of a mirror of last year's version of it. And then after a while, I noticed that they were I guess the best way to put it, they were doing the lost in translation thing on me, where Junji Ito was talking, but the subtitles were not catching up, so you would just get the simplest text, and it's like, I know he's saying way more than this. Yeah, but that's about it.
Also, check out the panel about the Winchester Mystery House comic that's coming.
Ooh.
One of the coolest, craziest stories, real stories in U.S. history is the Winchester Mystery House.
Dope.
And do you know anything about it?
Which is that one?
So it's this house. This woman basically believes there was a curse on the house, and she had to continuously build onto
that one. Okay, for sure. Yes.
So they're making a comic, and it got its own panel at this.
Oh, dope. Okay, I'm definitely gonna go back to that one.
And the writer was talking about how he was able to go into the house, and it was so crazy that he'd find a room. He's like, "This is a really cool room," and then he'd be like, "You know what? I want to use that room in the book. I'll go there and take pictures for the artist." And then he wouldn't be able to find the room because it's that confusing. Like, never be able to find his way back to that room. It's so crazy. So
okay, yeah, I'm into it.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. And they were really nice on Twitter when I gave them a shout out. So yeah. But yeah, check all that out. With that being said, we're going to get straight into our comics because we got some stuff to go through. So, so let's go ahead and start this post-Comic-Con week ramble with a Boom. Mm-hmm. Boom Studios. We got 2 Boom books. Let's start with Good Luck number 2.
Cool.
All right, so creative team. Written by Matthew Ehrman, drawn by Stefano Simeone, letter by Mike Fiorentino. So we got a little more information about this world. For those who don't remember, this is the world where basically the gods of luck collided and luck goes haywire, basically. And the government is training these kids who have no luck to go on specific missions into the world where luck has gone awry and stuff like that. So it's the second issue. I think it did a really good job of building on the first issue. And you start to get to know the characters, you know, each kid a little bit more, which is a lot of fun. It has a very shocking ending. And yes. I don't think it's as, you know, straightforward as it seems, because the kids are bad luck, but it still was pretty shocking. And then it was almost like the writer handed the story off to a new character at the end.
Okay.
So, yeah, you know what I'm talking about? Like,
yes.
So I enjoyed it, though. I think it's really cool. I'm really curious to see where it goes. I love Matthew Ehrman, so.
Oh, for sure. I love anything he did this stuff into, and I love that this was more of his, like, more of a serious approach of, like, an overarching story. Because the first issue was really good. It was just, like, really dense for, again, where we were thinking it was going to be a little more simple with, like, good luck, bad luck. And then, but this issue, I love it. I love it when a second issue just, like, really just, like, oh, you thought that was it. Let me just open it up so much fucking more.
Yeah.
And yeah, the ending is just where it's like, oh, fuck, how could I not see it? Or how was I just, like, thinking so small? And yeah, he completely got me. So good job, fucking Matthew. I'm fucking all on board with this one.
Yeah, it's really cool. I'm really enjoying the creativity of it and everything. So yeah. All right, that takes us to our other Boom book for the week, which is Sick. Something is Killing the Children, number 18.
Such a good cover.
I got that cover too.
Great cover.
It's so great. So written by James Tynion IV, or Tynan, excuse me. I discovered that during Comic-Con, by the way.
Oh, okay.
When they gave him his award, I was like, oh, it's Tynan. Cool.
Yeah.
Illustrated by Werther Deladera, colored by Miquel Muerto, and lettered by Ann World Design. So we're still in the origin of Erica Slaughter, and this is such a good issue of this book.
So badass.
Just little touches. Just like Big Gary Slaughter's appearance, just the way he looks, you know, like he's got this whole like
a babe
vibe about him almost, but you know, kills monsters, you know. This moment,
yeah,
she jumps up into his arms. That just, I was just like, oh, it's so sweet, because you know, it's too easy to see these characters as these like monster slayers who aren't really people.
And we already got her attitude over everybody else in the house.
Yeah.
So this was like very surprising. It's like, oh, cool.
Yeah. But we get to find out more about the trial. And fuck. This is one of those things I don't want to talk too much about because it was just so epic. You guys should experience it yourself. And also because we don't know what's going to happen until the next issue.
Yeah, that's true.
But it was really cool. We're finding out more about her and her demon that now is inside of her little stuffed animal.
Octo,
who has a name. And I just love it, dude. It's so great. Like it's just a great story, and we're diving more into the origin, and I think it's cool because we're getting the House of Slaughter book soon.
Yes.
So this is setting up the House of Slaughter well.
We should get more of this shit, or at least like how it would play out differently for the other recruits, or how it was for Aaron.
Right. Because we know it's okay for her because we see her.
Right.
Later, or at least okay, quote. So yeah, pretty good stuff. Now let's move on to Image. Image Comics. We got 3 books. I'm going to start with my solo book, and then Josue's got 2. I got The Old Guard, Tales Through Time, number 4.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So, there's 2 stories, just like every issue. And they've really done a great job of getting nothing but just stars to write these stories. Like, we looked at the other ones. I think Kelly Thompson did one. Just
it's an anthology one, yeah.
Yeah. So, this has 2 stories. The first, then Josue, man. First one's written by Matt Fraction.
Nice.
Yeah, with art by Steve Lieber and colors by Danielle Miwa. The second story is by David F. Walker.
Ooh.
Yeah,
okay.
with art by Matthew Clark and colors of Rebecca McConnell.
Nice.
So, both of these stories, it has been where these stories actually take place kind of far apart, but they actually kind of place these 2 somewhat near each other in history. So the first one is about our main character. The one played by Charlize Theron in the movies, or in the movie, how she was in love with a black man. Did they give a year? I don't think they give a year, but like in a southern town, and they lived together and stuff, and they were in love, and the neighbors were kind, and she was there, the entire time, and of course she doesn't age, and so they're living together, and she's like, it's a fine place to die. Well, for everyone but her. What happened to your wife? What happened to your daughter? What happened to your granddaughter? Only a matter of time. And then she decides to leave to prevent him from the pain. And that's when the villagers decide to kill him. Yeah, so they end up burning the house down with him inside. She comes back, finds the burned up house, digs up her old axe, and kills the entire town.
Oh my god.
And the last line is, how do you make a ghost town? First you take a town, then you fill it with ghosts. It's like, fuck.
Damn.
And then the David F. Walker one is one of the guys in the story, which I really like this one.
Okay.
He's basically in a Confederate uniform and during the Civil War, and he's injured on the side of the road. And they're like, Jesus, mister. Like some of the Confederate soldiers find him. They're like, Jesus, you look like you were dead. He's like, no, I'm okay. I'm like, well, join us. And so he walks with them. And in the middle of the night, he kills them all and frees the slaves they were trying to transport back, right?
Yeah.
And then he lays down on the side of the road to pretend to be injured again. He's like an inside spy thing. It's so good, dude. Yeah, I really, really dug it. So the next issue, we do know one story is going to be by Jason Aaron. So
cool.
That'll be cool. Yeah. But I'm excited. It was really, really, really well done. I love the Old Guard stuff. I just dig it. So this way, your Image books. Let's start with That Texas Blood 8.
Oof. Okay. That Texas Blood number 8. This one written by Chris Condon and by Chris Condon and Jacob Phillips. It's really how they're credited. So I'm pretty sure Jacob Phillips is the artist. So this one we dive into more second arc, third arc. That's right. Or part 3, I suppose. We're diving more into a backstory on the sheriff and how there was this fucked up case that happened way back when on this little girl that died, but weird stuff happened. There's a part where he's alone with said rescued girl at this point, and the sheriff is trying to keep her company and warm at this point in the cold night by campfire because they were just out in the boonies. Again, this is a very small town in the middle of nowhere, Texas, and he's keeping her warm. The fire literally goes fucking apeshit, and it literally the mystical stuff starts happening where it's just more. It's not that it's and now it's everywhere, but it's just more satanic shit starts like happening around. Like there's like cult drops. Anyway, he's the one that has to like now report back that the little girl is dead. Like back to the house, like, hey, like we found her, like, and he's the one that has to tell like the mom, like basically case closed, like we found her. I'm sorry. Moving on, like he's still just like before the case is really gonna be closed. This is like with entered like this other journalist that is like piecing together. He's piecing a lot of conspiracies together that maybe this town might not be all that safe. That it might be like the soil. There's something wrong with the soil, and he starts, and that's when like the sheriff starts getting all like skeptic, along with his partner being like, dude, like we get that you build this fancy report. Like he's from. He came from like he's a journalist from LA and he's like but he pieces together, but it's like, yeah, we're not having that shit here. Even though it has happened before, like in like it was like 1923, like the sheriffs were like boys even then, so like they might not even remember. But it starts really dropping like this a lore that this town, this like land might be haunted or cursed in a sense, because like just like a lot of bad shit is starting to happen. And then we had that nothing really elaborate it really happened like that in the first arc, but it was weird. Like they're like the bad guys were almost like up to something. It's definitely worth the reread just to see how it's connected, because now it's like we're still following like the rest of the case. Like now the case just got bigger. Like the whole thing with the journalist was that like he was kind of pointing fingers like to the sheriff, like, hey, you might want to go get that guy. But that's when they were like, yo, I get that you made this fancy report, but since there's no evidence, we can't just go and drop, hey, are you doing bad stuff? We had to follow up with something. So, and that's when, yeah, they follow up on a report, and then now it's like they're kind of forced to go, and that's really where we left off. So, yeah, I'm excited where it builds, because it's just like this really third arc, like almost like second volume, really just amped up with like how mundane it felt, and now we're just getting to like really culty dark shit. I'm getting into that part where I'm starting to recommend that Texas Blood. It's cool.
Nice. What about Department of Truth 11?
Oof. You mean nominated for Eisner 2021, including Best New Series, Department of Truth. This little series by James Tynion IV, artist Martin Simmons, and lettering Adita Bidikar. Man, this little two-parter on Bigfoot, the Yetis, and or the Sasquatches all roll into one, depending on where their origins came from. It's ultimately so sad. It does follow that side A and side B with that old man that pretty much his life went to shit because of his obsession that was pretty much like inherited from his dad. Like they were the only two people in their family circle that just believed in this thing so hard that it drove their family almost like apart. It's like basically his life was basically his dad's, and how like after a nasty divorce and just like estranged kids in the end, you follow these texts, like these pretty wordy like passages, but it's all painting the story on his life, and he's ultimately writing to his son, and almost like a giant I'm sorry if this is all like if this is all for nothing, but no, this is like almost like all I had. If you because he's going on one last mission to like one last hunt to go find a Bigfoot, and this is where he found the three fucking Hawk, the lady that runs the ranger of the Department of Truth, and Cole. There's a part where he has like crosshairs on Cole, but he doesn't shoot because he starts listening a little bit more, and they're talking their bullshit, like literally like dropping everything on like what it means or how Bigfoots are real, and how it started out small, and then something like a picture of a log from a lake turned into something that people believe that something is something like the Loch Ness Monster, and now it's more real. And it's just like they're kind of elaborating how it's been like harder to contain based on like technology. So they're doing everything they can. And Cole even brings up, so it's like, so what? Our job is to just like kill everybody that just like witnesses or just like not get in the way. And they're pretty much like, well, it's either that or we let the world go ultimately to shit if more people start seeing it, and then because they believe it, they start making it more real. Yeah, maybe. So the old man starts getting a little too closer to them, and as he's getting closer, or that's right, as he gets like the crosshairs on Cole, a Bigfoot finally appears on the old man, and it's just so dope. It's like, for some reason, I don't know why, like the weird stuff has like all the circles around him. It's not really in the middle. It's just like around like the legs, the limbs, and mostly in the head. And I think it's like to indicate like they're meant to distort your senses, like to distort everything, so you don't really remember it, but you know that it's like at some point a memory will hold. And the old man starts like crying blood, and it's just like how fucked up. It's just like really messing with him. And right before it's gonna like lunge at the old man, at least like the Rangers were able to turn around, because he was like right behind them. They were to turn around, and the Rangers like shoots the Bigfoot in the head and kills him. And then there's like the fucking like crazy moment where like Hawk just like goes to the old man and it's like, how long have you been looking? And I first read it as like, oh shit, like how long has he been like behind us? Like, how much did you listen? And he replies, 50 years, like, because that's how long this whole thing, this whole obsession has been killing him. And Hawk just has a tender moment. This dude who says like heinous shit, like he says like fucked up shit sometimes, where he's like very insensitive stuff based on certain like conspiracies, but that's just because like how hardened and how calloused he is based on everything he's had to do for us. In this case, he sees the old man. I don't know if he sees a little bit of himself, but he's just like, yo, it's cool. You got it. You found it. You're able to let it go. You're able to put it to rest. And he almost like, he hugs the man and just like, and he just says like, hey, it's okay. Just like 2 little words that could just mean the world to somebody. And he literally lets him walk away. And they question Hawk, of all people, are just like, you're just going to let him? And it's like he won't, like, he's like, nobody's going to fucking believe him anyway. But it's also the first time you get a shot of his face. It's always like, the cap is too low or it's just shaded over. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, this dude has like seen and done a lot of fucking shit. So to just see him, yeah. And now it's just like disposing the body of this Bigfoot. And yeah, and in the end, you just get like one last, like the last passage of the old man to his son, and just being like, it's not really like, yo, I fucking found him. It was just like a letter sent to him before he went on this trip. Because this guy was just going to keep going into the woods until he found this thing, whether he was going to come back or not. But the son was going to get this last letter. And there's a picture, like a young picture, an old picture of them, like just like younger, like the son's older, like almost like probably like the last good picture they ever had together. It's just like, it just got really fucking sad. It's like, oh man, this book, man, it's so good.
Nice. All right, let's move on to Source Point Press.
Oh my god! I just want to like a little preview for next month.
Yeah,
this fucker's gonna dip into the Ruby Ridge shootout scenario, and it's like, what the fuck are you gonna say, dude? What are you gonna spin on this thing? I'm excited. I shouldn't be, but it's just like comics,
yeah. All right, now on to Source Point Press.
Yes.
We got 2 books. We each got a solo book. So, I picked up Runes, Son of the Black Wolves, number 1. So this is a Viking tale.
That looks cool.
Yeah. The creative team, it's Ivan. Oh man, you guys are going to give me a hard time this week. Ivan Lascitignola. Art and co-creation by Francesco La Quinta. English translation by Alicia Teruggi. Colors and lettering by Ivan and Alicia. We'll just leave it at that. So, okay. This is really cool. It's very much a European comic, and before I even read translation, I was like, yes, this isn't from the US at all.
Okay.
Because, like, well, you read enough comics now to understand this art. This is European action art.
Oh, absolutely. You know?
Yeah. So basically we have this Viking, and the story is he's the sole survivor of a shipwreck. And he lands in the UK, where their mortal enemies are. Mm-hmm. And he's basically left alone entirely. And you find out that what happened was he was taken by other Vikings as a captive. He was basically going to be put on trial for murder, and he's like, I didn't do it. It's very clear they were like, they were setting him up for something for some reason. And then the boat sank and he gets away. So he's like, well, I get away and all this stuff. And he's trying to find his way, and it's really cool. It's very bloody. It's very violent, as a Viking book should be.
Nice.
A bunch of farmers attack him, and all he has is like, he found like a stone hammer, and he just wrecks them all without trying, really. Like you can see here,
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah.
A good like head smash, like pop.
Yeah.
Yeah, pop.
Well, then he finds out that one of the other Vikings also survived the train wreck or the boat wreck, and
Cool.
runs into him, sneaks up on him, and fucking executes the guy. Like, just straight up kills him, like for betraying him and stuff like that. So, and then it takes an interesting turn because the other villagers are like, "Oh no, there's a Viking here. Let's go find help." And then we see this chick, who is a witch.
Nice.
And she raises the dead.
Oh, cool.
To go hunt him down. And then he gets captured by some villagers too. So it's just really cool. A lot going on in the first issue, but not a lot of characters really meet because he basically kills everybody he runs into, so that helps. But I really dug it. I'm digging this. I don't really have a Source Point Press book right now, so I think this is going to be my one. So
nice.
Yep, I dug it. All right, why don't you talk to me about Cult of Dracula 5?
Cult of Dracula number 5. Writer/creator, pre-property, right? Rich Davis. Artist is Puis Calzada, and colors by Alex Zeef, and lettering and design by Dave Lentz. So this is where it really starts deviating from like the source material, and starts really becoming its own thing. Since the last one, we start to branch off on like how Dracula was Lilith, the first woman, the first Spawn lady to really turn on the big guns upstairs. So leading lady in my book. Yeah, and this it's playing 2 stories. The story really, really fucking loves It's Lucy, because it's like half of this book is about her. And the other one is about Mina. How Mina is like the in this case, it's not it almost makes like the movie just like more creepy, because in this case Mina is a descendant of Lilith. It's just playing that trope. So it's not going off of like my long lost love. Meanwhile, Lucy is just like having one last conversation with Arthur and being like, yo, when we were together, like it was cool at first. It was fucking great at first. But then you were the one that distanced yourself. She starts like just pointing fingers and it's like, you were the one that really fucked all this up. So it's really what drove me here. And it really started with like, so did you come to kill me? And she was just like, no, like I was, but seeing you right now and like talking it out right now, and it's like, no, I'm not going to kill you. So it's just like, they have like one last kiss, and just like, she just has like her last words with them. It's like, and it doesn't hurt for long. It's like the heartache, dying. It's like, but you said you wouldn't hurt me. He's like, I won't. But my fucking new sister said, fucking sure will. So they had their way with him, and yeah, the dude's pretty much bugged. Anyway, back to the story, to fucking Mina. She's just like coming to grips, and she almost has like a choice. Like she doesn't have to like succumb to like be like the next in line to like the next heir to Dracula, basically. And she starts, I don't want to say, she basically like says like, fuck yes. But the way she talks is like, it almost sounds like she is being entranced to saying yes, but it's not at the same time. I don't know. It's, I like how this book was definitely the most vampire book of them all. Like these last 2 issues have just like been better since it started like deviating from the actual source material. Like it should have been its own vampire book maybe. But yeah, it's Cult of Dracula. It's just, in the end, it's just silly. It's just like a fun, silly book.
Nice. I might have to pick up that trade.
Yeah.
Oh, visually, it really looks great.
I mean, honestly, no. Like once you get like the boom, this is Dracula. You're like, oh fuck yeah! Like I'm like, this is why you stay for the book.
Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and switch to another publisher, Josue. I need you to talk to me about Behemoth Comics and You Promised Me Darkness 4.
Yeah, You Promised Me Darkness number 4. Daniel Connolly's You Promised Me Darkness. And Annabella Mazzaferri, I believe she's the translator. So, this is
what's his first name?
His first name? Damien? Or
you said Daniel.
Damien.
That's why I was like, I thought it was Damien. Okay.
Yeah, Damien. Sorry, my bad, Connolly. Again, this is the book where it starts getting cooler, but I wish there was like not more exploitation in the issue, but maybe more issues to just to take their time with the characters, because it's so many things coming together. and so many like places moving back to back that like I almost want to say I don't get this book just because like I'm just like trying so hard to follow it, but like this book itself is jumping back and forth between places, and even like so like this guy is like the narrator. It's right. I call him the Abe Sapien of this book because he really is like the smart one, but in this case he's just like the goofy version of it. But he can just like speak. He just gets like hella meta, and he says at one point and drops the word meta, but at another point it's just like. Look, it even says like he's explaining what's going on, and then purpose is in the face of a new battle. Wait, am I confusing you? Doesn't matter. Keep reading. It literally jumps scene, and it doesn't even want to tell you what's going on. And that's what's so frustrating about this book because like it's really fucking cool, and visually with some places just being almost like negative spaces instead of just like a complete black and white page. I just want to call them like negative pages, and they're just such a cool design of a book, but. I want to be able to be like, yo, I get what's going on. Or like the next supposed to be like twist. I want to be like, holy shit, that was fucking heavy. But it's almost like I barely know any of these people, but they all seem so important coming together or like with their cool, like weird comet powers. Oh, you promised me darkness. Just answer me some questions.
Nice. Okay. Well, then let's move on to Magma Comics now.
Yes.
Go ahead and tell me about Modern Frankenstein.
Modern Frankenstein, story by Paul Cornell, art by Emma Vieceli, colorist is by Pippa Boland, and lettering by Simon Boland. So, sexy times, Frankenstein times. Oof. And now we find out that the doctor, the one that started getting super sexy with Jason Frankenstein, they got pregnant somehow, even though they were supposed to be using protection. But I guess sometimes we're just too much fun, and then it's like, oops. So, now it's just supposed to be serious, because she does sound like, yo, this happened. And he's just like, oh, yeah? Fucking great. And she just like, yo, I'm still not sure. And he's like, yo, your fucking choice, but I'm all on board if you go with it. So, since we're doubling down and getting serious, it's time to meet Mom. Actually meet Mom. And this, like, her mom, who's, I think her only family right now, like, left, who had, like, dementia, like her mind was just like really going at an old age, and it was his potion, his concoction, his serum that made her better, like basically like Dawn of the Planet of the Apes like scenario with John Lithgow. And he comes over to dinner and starts being this like in no way because of race, but he starts like dropping this like elitist ass like shit like on the mom, where it's just like wow, oh, like he just starts getting like mostly scientific or like based or like at some point like religion is bullshit, where it's just like maybe not at first dinner, bro. And he's just like they just have it out outside. There's like a fight outside, and just like and there's like a no, I'm sorry moment. It's like cool, we're all back together. So yeah, he starts showing his colors. Like we finally start seeing the monster that is this Dr. Frankenstein, and what extremes he's able to do when he's actually alone. And then also the doctor, I fucking suck that I'm forgetting her name, but she starts finding out or starts researching on what he's actually doing. And there's a particular email that because a lot of the experiments aren't working, the experiments or like the process that she really does believe in his work. She's not just like just being all lovey because he's like super handsome. She really does believe on this solution, but it's not really working. And so she finds the email on like maybe like a hypothesis that like maybe it'll work with an actual like newborn specimen from birth. And it's like, uh-oh. So that's where the uh-oh got left off. And I think the last one might be the last issue. Does it say to be concluded? Where's the page? Fuck, every time. Yeah, to be concluded. Next issue will be the last issue. I'm very sure she'll be like, yo, what the fuck are you trying to do with this baby?
Yeah, definitely. Sounds like a ride.
It's a ride, dude. It's like even like Nick asked me like, "Yo, like, how are you liking this book?" And I had no idea how to answer it. Also, because there was like a kid like in like right behind it, like in his corner reading a comic book. So I didn't want to be like, "Yo, this like it's just like." Afterwards, I knew I should have said this book is all work no play, or yeah, all play no work. But I just like it was just like I didn't know what to say because it was just like dude, it's all sexy times in this book, and now it's coming together or coming apart.
Yeah. All right, shifting gears to Aftershock Comics. We got 2 books from Aftershock.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about Phantom on the Scan number 4. Now, before we get into it, I'm going to say I did purchase it, but I didn't get a chance to read it because I actually missed issue 3, so I'm trying to catch up before I do.
Okay.
So I'll do the creative team and you can tell us about it. Written by Colin Bunn, drawn by Mark Torres, letter by Dave Sharp.
Okay. First and foremost, definitely. And if you're reading this book and the series, listen to the music that it drops on you, because it's not.
I saw the QR code.
It's not your songs. It's not even just like an instrumental. It's just more like what a score would be, or like what noises or parts would sound like. It's so cool. I fucking love how every single time how they just come out, because they would be instrumentals, but just not in your regular conventional sense. That being said, God, I don't want to spoil it too much on this one, because it's like our characters finally get a breather from like going from place to place and getting short answers and then being like, we gotta get the fuck out of here. They're finally able to almost like to talk to each other and like actually have some character development. So I don't want to like dip in too much, especially if you're a little behind on this one. But it's still really good. It's probably one of the better Colin Bunn books out there right now. I just like the art style, like definitely with like the music. I love how like the art, definitely Mark Torres just excels on like painting these like bleak scenes. Is like the best way to put it. And it's like painting almost like, and we're having this like this gray touches to them without just like really without diluting it too much. But I'll show you one page that's not really a spoiler or anything since you've seen this character. But like, you know what I mean with this art? It's just it's so badass. Like, it's like the art really excels. Like, it really pushes the story in this one. Really, really loving Phantom on the Scan.
Nice. Next up, our other Aftershock book, and one I'm so excited for. I actually forgot this was a book.
Nice.
And when it came back, I'm like, oh yeah, I love this. I can't wait, because I was so excited about it before, and I just kind of forgot it was out there, which is Seven Swords number 2.
Yes.
Written by Evan Dougherty, drawn by Ricardo Latina, colored by Valentina Biancioni, and letter by Dave Sharp. So this is the one about D'Artagnan after the fall of the Musketeers, and he's out for revenge, wants to take out the Cardinal, and he is basically told you need to find these 7 people to fight with you and have this awesome swashbuckling adventure. And so this is issue 2, and we get a little bit more lore about why they're coming together. And we find out that it's all about the Morning Star blade, the blade that was fused in or forged, in God's love, and it's the only weapon that can defeat God. And it's the one that Satan / Lucifer used, and failed, and so it was destroyed at that time. Well, the blade is in one place, and the hilt is in the other place. So if you can get them together, boom, you got the Morning Star, most powerful blade ever. So D'Artagnan's like, I don't care, I just want to kill the Cardinal. That's basically his whole motivation. And
if there's no Cardinal, there's no bad guy to hold the sword, so done.
Yeah, exactly. That'll work in the end, so that's good. And he's with Sister Catalina, who we met last issue, who is awesome. And then we get the awesome montage of recruitment, like in every heist movie. And I love it. Where they go and they encounter Cyrano de Bergerac, who is just seducing all the women from a distance because they can't see him. Because he's obviously got the big nose and he's, chubby and stuff. But the girls are like, damn, this guy's hot. And then they get interrupted. And he eviscerates these 3 men verbally, which is fucking amazing.
Oh my god, so good.
And then he challenges them to a fight. He could probably win a 3-on-1 fight, but just in case, D'Artagnan and Catalina step in and they help him out. But the best part is him and D'Artagnan don't exactly get along. But they both had Cardinal Richelieu, so perfect.
Hey, it works. Then
they go to the theater, and they are here to recruit their next member, which is so much fun.
So badass.
So we see this, what looks to be a heavy-set older person. It's hard to tell. Very, very nondescript. But what's they're doing? Was it Eurydice and I'm trying to remember which play it was. It's the one from Hell. Orpheus and Eurydice.
Oh yeah.
And there's a very beautiful woman on stage, and suddenly she's attacked by real people, like really attacked, not like and she is their fourth blade, and she might be my favorite character in this book series from now on.
Oh, just might be.
She's hitting on everybody, which I thought was excellent. She's like, "You're hot. You're pretty hot. You're hot." And I'm like, "Yes, I love her." So she joins the group basically because she's like, "Fuck it, this will be fun." So, and then we meet our fifth person, which is Don Juan. I love me some Don Juan. He is great. This
scene got spicy.
It did get a bit spicy. Yes, there's a lot of spicy stuff this week actually for us.
Yeah,
might be the theme of the week actually. So he's basically about to bang this chick, and then the others show up, and they're like, "This is weird," and he fights them naked, and they make a bunch of jokes about his dick, which is great. And then they get captured, or they're being held up by some guardsmen, basically. So that's where we left off. So it's mostly a recruiting issue, but I really enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed these characters.
I'm so excited how they're going to be able to recruit the next guy. Did you get read the little tease who it's going to be?
I did, but I forgot. Let me pull
the man in the iron mask.
Yes, exactly.
So all these characters, all these like inclusions, and now it's like, oh fuck, they're really going all over the place. Fucking love it. I love that both fucking women on the team are just like actual, like just badasses.
Totally, yeah, 100%. So I really dig it. You know, I'm a classical literature person, so
yes.
I love every one of these characters. And
so yeah, so those burns that he was like, I mean, like those seductions at first, and then those like fucking burns outright, like back to back. It's like, oh, this dude really does have range.
This dude fucks. Yeah. So really dug that. I'm very excited to see what else we get from that because I love that series, and hope we get quite a bit from it. So moving on, let's talk about Vault. Man, last week we're like, no Vault books this week. Well, Vault made up for it.
Yeah.
So, once again, all cards on the table. I was not able to pick up Witchblood 5. I didn't even know it came out this week.
Ooh.
It wasn't on my list, and there was absolutely none on the wall, so I didn't know any better. So, I'm going to let Josue start by telling me about Witchblood 5.
Well, first and foremost, the cover. I had to go with the variant, the big red tarot. Fucking big red in the tarot form. It's like, I have to.
I have to get that because it wasn't all the tarot covers.
It wasn't even because it was like the only copies like left available were like just these variants, but it's like, yo, this cover fucking is awesome. The other variant was the connecting one. So as if you've seen, it's like the big like it's like one of the, I might be one of the goddesses just being super badass, but I'm not collecting the connecting one. So this is the other one, but fucking hey, this is just like so good. Anyway, this one, another book by Matthew Ehrman. And created by Lisa Sterl as well. Colors by Gab Contreras and lettered by And World. I almost like I have to be so light in this one because it's okay. I mean, like synopsis at least. Yes, we visit another random town around the Southwest that is in need of help. Only in this case, again, like the actual three leading ladies have to work together, so you do get a more character development instead of just like saying the next quip to each other. There's still some of that, but at the very least, like again, like this book, the one that really shines is fucking Big Red. Yana is still very much like it's all about my book, but I love that she's the one that keeping the peace in this one. It really shows like she's kind of like the middleman on like the three different roles that they have. I guess like they're both like Atla and Red are like hex hunters. And obviously they would be hunting Yana. When in this case they have to work together because of the vampires. But but they really just like almost like come together in this one just to be ready to face the actual vampires. But there's this great shot because like again like any town has like their own like mystical person. There's a great shot on like the one from this town. She looks up at Yana, and it's like you almost think it's like, oh, it's like her way of the Mirage because she's just like so like just sun-baked from like just being out there, because she's a witch dowser. She's like, as more of a simple one, she's trying to find water for this town that's literally drowned. So it's almost like, what is she really doing? But she looks up at Yana, and I'm not even going to show you the page, but it's like, you almost see her true form, or like her ancient form. It's like, fuck, like I need a whole like prequel series on the Yana's tale, because it's just fucking beautiful. Definitely try to find this book when you can, because this is definitely really cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick it up over the weekend.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go to the main store. So, all right, and go ahead and tell me about Shadow Service 10.
Shadow Service number 10, the conclusion to the second volume, and man, did a lot of crazy shit happen in this one. Basically, when just one last giant like demon bomb was gonna go out and like possess everybody to just go ape shit first around this church, and just like, and then let it spread after that through the main character, through the main witch. She was basically the driving force to this curse. But they were able to still capture the one that's like the main demon lady that's running this said curse. They're able to trap her inside one of fucking not Edwin. Trying to find her name. I can't find it on this page. She's a friend of the protagonist, and in order to really get rid of this curse, it's kind of like they start hurting him, or like really like MI666 starts like hurting the body, because like it's like, yo, like I got tortured through every single demon, even the Morningstar Lucifer himself. So no torture you can do can like really hurt me. And then yeah, the kid / ancient really being. So the torture dude comes, right? It's always like little boy, like just like asking the questions, but he gets like his hitman, and he comes like with this like oversized like industrial pliers. So like, oh shit, here come the fingers. But he instead just like stabs the whole thing in his chest. So it can hurt the demon. You're like, oh fuck, okay, we're just like going ape shit on this one. So yeah, in the end, they have to kill the body. They have to kill his name is Quill, in order to finally get rid of like that demon, or at least for her to go back to hell. Mission accomplished. Everybody is saved, or at least like the people left in the church that are not dead, based on like this like giant snuff orgy that was started ensuing, and it's like this rage chaos. So they're just like, oh fuck, that's just, maybe I'll forget about this, because they don't really address it, or some sort of like news segment where like, and another news, like people are just not dealing with it at all. They just don't address it. The protagonist becomes Wraith number 3 as part of MI666, but now she has like more control of her witch powers. And the little epilogue 3 weeks later is that she goes to a grave and summons the spirit of Quill, and he might have some answers on maybe some dirty secrets from the MI666. And it's really cool, because fucking love that this book is still going. It's still arguably my favorite vault art book. Just the designs of demons, like just that shit's just, it's so cool. It's such a badass thing, and I'm glad there's like the variant. I got the variant to the last book you'll ever read is this artist, Howell. Oh, that's right, creative team. Sorry, Kevin Scott, writer, Corin Howell. I got his variant for the other book we're going to talk about. Colors for this one still Triona Farrow and Ann World also did the lettering for this one. But yeah, volume 2 wrapped up for Shadow Service.
Nice. All right, and let's talk about the rest of our vault books that I actually got.
Yes.
We'll start with the Blue Flame number 3, written by Christopher Cantwell, drawn by Adam Gorham, colored by Kurt Michael Russell, and lettered by Hassan Otsmane El-How. Did you listen to the score?
Yes, I mean, like it's still like the same playlist.
Yeah,
but I think that's
it's the same playlist. Oh, I thought you might change the reissue. That's cool. So, guys, this is the one that seems to be taking place at 2 different locations. We got a guy pretending to be a hero on Earth that's involved in a mass shooting. Then we have an actual superhero out there doing a trial for the fate of humanity.
Yeah.
The 2 stories are starting to bleed together. They're starting to show similarities.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a trial on both, like a case needs to be built is what it is, It's just kind of like... This one was really depressing. Very good, don't get me wrong, but it was pretty depressing because of how much was going on in his life post-shooting.
Yeah.
And just, I mean, you can't blame him, but also he could be less shitty. You know what I mean? But I'm really digging it. It's an issue 3, so we're right at that soft spot of where, where it's chugging along without a really big revelation. What did you think?
Honestly, I like that we got more on the potential sci-fi side. I just like that we got some dialogue from like the aliens and how like they're kind of like rushing him. It's like, yo, that's it. Like we got to make a decision. You got to do the thing now. And how he just like at least how he's able to just ask some questions. And we're like, we don't really get answers, but at least like we get some back and forth. At least like we get some history like on this guy, like the alien that's like really pressuring him. And like we get like kind of where he comes from, and it's kind of like, oh shit, what's he got to do with all this? But again, like, is that even like the real story, or just like, again, they're still barely bleeding over together, but I just need to know which is the real one, or how does the story work? Because the other one, yeah, he'd definitely be less dickish, or that drama story is just like, oh fuck, I'd want to fucking dream about space too if I was living that life. Like Jesus, it's just so dark.
Yeah. Interesting. So our next one is from Vault Nightfall.
Oh, yes.
And that is The Last Book You'll Ever Read. Written by Cullen Bunn. Yet again, another Cullen Bunn book. Drawn by Layla Lays. Colored by Giada Martizio. And lettered by Jim Campbell. So I did get the cover A.
Yeah, me too.
But I think just like you, I got the variant. Oh, you got a different variant.
Yeah, this is the Colin Howell. Yeah, holy shit. They're both so good.
Yeah, they're both sexy as fuck.
It's just like I love this one because like this is like the right side, but I would just love to hang it upside down.
Yeah,
it just still works.
So for the record, we both got variant covers that had to be bagged.
Yes.
So you can imagine what they look like, but your imagination will fall short, I promise. So they're great. So this is an issue 1, and it's a new story, and I'm so intrigued by this already.
Mm-hmm.
We have an author who's putting out this book about how humanity is regressing to a primal stage, and we're nothing but animals, and she's going on a tour about it, and suddenly there's just these horrific attacks happening, and it seems to be by people who read her book.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not just attacking people, they're biting at them. They're ripping their throats out with their teeth and stuff like that.
Yep.
And it's kind of being underplayed by everybody. They're like, man, that's crazy. I can't believe this is happening. Some people are like, it's her fault, but they're not like, freaking out that people are doing this. They're just like, she must be in charge, or she must be the reason this is happening. And I'm like, holy shit, this is big shit. So this kind of leads us up to her going on her big tour, and she hires a guy to guard her while she's on her tour. And she asks him, have you read my book? He's like, no. She's like, good, basically. And it's just really graphic and bloody, but it's got a really cool mystery to it. I can't wait to see where it goes. What did Josue think?
Yeah, I'm definitely intrigued by the mystery. And it's definitely one of Nightbolt's like most interesting, like just like scary off the bat. Just like, oh man, what scary shit are we playing at here? But fuck, I think she's a part of it. Like she's almost like a demon herself, where she made some sort of deal with the demon for this shit to be successful. And now it's all like, I don't even want to say backfiring on her. It's just like, I'm just so curious why she's so calm about it too. I'd be fucking horrified if like my book was like causing all the shit, but even like still seeing an attack firsthand coming at her, her reaction to the bloody book, and it's like, oh, this one has seen some days,
right?
And just like almost like she liked the way that was supposed to look like, and it's like, this book is just so dark, and it can just go. I mean, especially with those spicy ass covers, like this book just can go anywhere, and
That's the thing. This wasn't a particularly sexual book.
No.
So the fact that we got 2 nude covers, I'm kind of like, where's this gonna go? So I'm intrigued though. It's really cool. I really like it.
No, me too.
All right, the Vault Parade continues. Barbaric number 2. Written by Michael Marici, drawn by Nathan Gooden, colored by Addison Duke, and lettered by Jim Campbell. I really love Nathan's art. Like, he's just such a great artist. I don't think he's a name we bring up enough, but I just love it. So we found out a lot more. Obviously, in the last issue, we found out a lot about our titular barbarian and his axe. Well, this issue was dedicated to the witch he met, Soren, and her origin. And it basically, she's a necromancer, and she's had it ever since she was young, and she was able to predict things that, people hated her for because she'd predict people dying, and then they'd die and they'd blame her and things like that. And it's just really cool. And she's taking him back to this temple where she was trying to meditate and found out that the abbot was actually probably demon possessed. So they go back. It's like, a fun adventure. There's a lot of really grim and gory things with little bits of dark humor and stuff. Like the guy that he forced a bunch of snakes to bite so bad that his head burst with poison or something.
Oh my god, that's such a great scene.
What the fuck, man? So, but it was pretty cool. And then they get attacked by a bunch of ghosts, and it was really funny because they're like, mortal weapons are useless against us. And he's like, what about mystic weapons? And the axe is like, oh, fuck yeah, basically. So, and then he's mad because they don't have blood. Like, it's just great. The axe adds a real, nice touch to it. So.
Oh, totally.
But they get there, and there's, this big necromantic-looking monolith thing, and Soren starts to lose control of her powers. Eyes go all black, all necromancy. And it looks like she's turning on him. I hope she doesn't, because I really like her character.
Oh, I know, right? Like, why get so much exploitation on being, feeling bad for her if you're just going to be, a bad guy? No. Especially because, Soren is so hot.
Oh, she's crazy hot. I don't expect her to be... if this was any other book, or any other publisher, I would not expect her to stay a bad guy.
Right.
The only thing that makes me hesitate is the next issue is the conclusion of this arc.
Yes.
So is it going to be self-contained stories of just him? You know what I mean?
Right. If this really is barbaric for the barbarian tales and the crazy shit he has to go through, and he meets these people that is yo, I guess you're an ally. I guess you're not an ally. And here's this fucking axe.
Yeah, Conan didn't have a sidekick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He just walked around and did his shit. So I'm curious to see where that goes.
This the axe is just so fucking cool. The dialogue, all the shit talking is great. The blood drunk is awesome. But they go into a dark cave and it literally lights up. And such a cool touch. Does it to just the mysticism, towards where does this thing really come from? And it's just such a cool design.
Yeah, totally. All right, that takes us to our last vault book, which we always save for last.
Yes.
Money Shot 13. I could not find the variant cover for the record.
No.
I know. It's great.
It's so good. Especially because it's her, the new one.
Which, she's disappeared. I need her back.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she has to come back.
Yeah. So, written by Tim Seeley and Sarah Beatty. Drawn by Caroline Leigh Lane. Color by Kurt Michael Russell and letter by Crank. So when we last left off, our explorers were off doing their own things. Off on solo missions, or at least duo missions.
Mm-hmm.
So we do get to catch up on them a bit here. Little things happening back and forth. The big thing is supermassive black hole and Trinity spheres have been taken captive. And they're basically going to be eaten unless they can get a message to the rest of the group. Little Shot probably steals the comic, basically. Little Shot is charging, and then he's like
query.
He's query or subject ball, and he goes to get the ball, and then he runs out of battery and has to recharge again. But then the second time he's like, "No, I will not do that. I'm gonna be strong." And so he manages to get a message to the rest of the team to go rescue supermassive black hole and Trinity spheres. So. I love this book. She is just so hot. I just love her so much.
She's the best. Fuck yeah.
I just love Trinity. She's the best. But yeah, I'm curious to see what Bree does after this, because it doesn't seem like this is going to change anything. It's not going to change how she feels. You know what I mean? So. And then we get a tease of maybe more than just a friendship between Trinity and supermassive black hole.
Potentially.
He's interested in something more. He laughs it off, but that's what he would do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I loved it.
Trinity Spears just has the best comebacks. She's so fucking smart, and just she's not someone you would underestimate, because dude, she fucking had me dying. She's so fucking hot that when her retort is soft thing, in my biz we call that baby W, motherfucker. Yeah, girl, fuck yes.
Yeah, she's fucking great, dude. All right, so that wraps us up with Vault. Let's move on to the big two. starting with DC. This is the biggest DC week we've ever had as a group.
Yeah, it is.
So we're going to get straight into it. I'm going to start with my solo books. First of all, Checkmate number 2.
Cool.
Written by DC. Why don't you just put your things on the first page like normal people? There we go. Written by Brian Michael Bendis, art by Alex Maleev, colors by David Stewart, letters by Josh Reed. So once again, this is about how Leviathan is now basically the big spy organization in the world, and Checkmate is formed once again to try and basically slow them down. Is the best way to look at it. And it's pretty good. It's got some great moments, including a very quick duel between Green Arrow and Merlin, his enemy, the Archer, which was a lot of fun. A lot going on. Talia is probably the best part of the book, because if you don't remember from the last issue, they captured her in a bubble, and they were like hovering, right? So she's this is so funny. So she's like in this thing, and these guys come up and they're talking shit. They're from the League of Assassins, and this dude's like, "You used to torture me in the League of Assassins. You used to beat me for no reason." And he's all talking shit. He's like, "You're defenseless now." And she's like, "Oh, hello, Alexander. Listen to me very carefully." And the next panel is all of them dead and her gone.
Holy shit. Oh, that's awesome.
Like, I just love Talia. There's so much potential there to do something with it. So, but in the end, she's about to die by the bad guy's hands. And who shows up but Superman?
Oh, damn.
To save her. And the guy from Leviathan goes, "My goodness, an alien from outer space just invaded my country." So I don't know if this is going to become a political thing. You know what I mean? So yeah, really good. I like it. I like when DC gets all political intrigue and noir. Like, they do it really well. They should do it more. So
yeah,
dig it. Next up, Detective Comics 1040. You ready for the deluxe cover?
Yeah, let me see. Oh, damn.
So good.
Give me that Batman bondage.
So Batman spends the entire issue in prison, basically, as Bruce Wayne. He turns himself in because he was framed for the murder. And basically the whole thing is he's going to have to stay in there over the weekend while Barbara basically sends the evidence to the police to prove he's not the guy that did it. So he spends the whole weekend next to a guy in a suit who's drunk. And we also find out that Huntress, who was infected by Hugh Vile, she's clean, but she's escaped from the hospital. And she was under her real name, by the way, under Helena. So,
okay.
So the drunk guy, in the middle of this issue, this is really interesting. This drunk guy wakes up and he looks over at Bruce and he's like, "Hey, you're Bruce Wayne." He goes, "Yes, I am." He goes, "You know what else I know?" And guy's like, and Bruce is like, "What?" He goes, "You're Batman." And Bruce is like, "What? Why would you figure that?" And you find out this dude was witnessing a fight between Joker and Batman and ran away, climbed a fire escape, and got on the roof just to hide up there. And then afterwards, Bruce came up there, didn't see him, and just like adjusted his mask and showed his face, and the dude saw he's Bruce Wayne. So Bruce actually made a mistake, which I really liked.
That's really cool. I actually like the suit, the kind of the throwback Jim Lee suit.
Yeah.
From like Hush.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
And then the dude falls asleep drunkenly. Next day, he wakes up and he does not remember the conversation. He doesn't remember anything he said to Bruce. He doesn't remember that he's Batman at all.
Wait.
And I'm like, well, that's interesting. Also, the townhouse that Bruce has been staying in with all the other rich people, Penguin blows it up.
Oh.
So they're on the hunt for the Penguin, or for Batman. And then there's a backup story in the back here about Man-Bat. Basically, Man-Bat has died, and it's like the story of how he died, and it was really cool. I'm not going to get too much into that, but it was really, really good. So now, creative team. So it's written by Mariko Tamaki, drawn by Dan Mora, color by Jordi Belair, and letter by Aditya Bidikar. The backup story has Dan Waters writing, Max Rayner drawing, Arif Prianto coloring, and Rob Lay lettering. So that leads me directly into my next book, Batman Secret Files, Huntress #1.
Nice.
Deluxe cover. You can't see it because of the reflection very well. There you go.
There it is.
Yeah. So when she escaped from the hospital, this is where this book takes up. Basically, she discovers because she was infected by Hugh Vile, even though it's been removed, she's still connected to him and she can see what he's seeing. and what the other people who are infected are seeing. So basically, she sees hundreds of people around Gotham have been infected and no one knows. And Hugh Vile's ordering them to attack people, and she can kind of like precog see what they're doing, so she can find out where they are in Gotham and go stop them. And she's doing it by herself. She's not, she doesn't look for help for this. So it was pretty cool. I really dug the idea that, this is a personal vendetta for her. She was infected by him, and she's just got to do this herself. This will be continuing Detective Comics from this point forward, but they wanted to put a one-shot to put it, to get it going. So, written by Mariko Tamaki, artist is David Lapham, colors by Trish Mulville, and letter by Rob Leigh. So, Harley Quinn number 5. Once again, deluxe cover.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah. So, this is the culmination of the Hugo Strange story with Harley, where they're both trying to reform the clowns.
Yeah.
Harley gets caught breaking into Hugo Strange's office, but basically, the implication is that she wanted to get caught. And she basically is just talking shit to him, including breaking him down psychologically. Like talking about when he dressed up as Batman, she's like, maybe you took it a little too far. It kind of seems like a developmental issue. Like kids learn by imitating the actions of adults. It's just like, or is it a sexual thing? She's like, and it's just like, he's like, you don't understand at all. And he's like, what about you co-opting a Harlequin as part of the Clown Prince of Crime thing? And she's like, yeah, that's not where we're here. Like, we're not talking about you, basically. And she just keeps like, she calls him a Batman wannabe with a bad case of roid rage and astigmatism. Like, it's just like, she just keeps ripping into him. And then she's like, I need to go to the bathroom. And she's like, guards, take her to the bathroom. Don't let her out of your sight. And then she basically convinces them to let her pee in peace. Like, don't come in the stall with her.
Mm-hmm.
She was able to pick the lock on her handcuffs, stuff a bunch of toilet paper, have the toilet overflow and everything, and then beat their asses when they come to get her. And so she frees all the clowns and everything. They're about to get attacked, and then like the big badass guard is like about to attack her, and she's like, I brought a friend, he's big in the sewers, maybe you've heard of him. And he goes, Solomon Grundy.
Oh
yeah, this is so dope. He's like her buddy now, basically.
Oh, so dope. Good person.
So he beats a bunch of ass, and then Harley's like, shit, I need my bat. He took my bat. So she goes to Strange's like wardrobe and stuff, and she's like, Is that a Grundy plushie? Like a Solomon Grundy plushie? You're not prepared. No matter how prepared you are for how cute this is, you're not prepared for that. I need one immediately.
Oh my god. Cutest fucking thing.
It's her holding it. He's just shaped like a square. Like that square right there is him.
I need this issue now just so I can have a sample of it. And I need to get the shit made too.
So she does end up stealing it, by the way. And she takes her bat back and everything, and she beats up Hugo and escapes with all the clowns into the sewers, so they get away. Then you see Hugo like answering to what appears to be his boss, and we get the last page reveal, "Call me Keepsake."
Ooh.
So we'll see what's up with that. So I'm really digging. You and me talk about it every time I bring this book up. I'm not a big Harley Quinn fan, but I'm really digging this run. I think it's great. So
nice.
Probably mostly in part to written by Stephanie Phillips.
Yeah,
we love her.
What's cool that she's like writing her where like instead of like writing quippy little one-liners, like just like throwaway one-liners, just because like based on how she looks and acts, she's a lot smarter than that. She could like, I like how she was like probing him and like saying all these like smart disses.
Yeah. And the writing matches the art very well. That's the other thing. So, art's by Riley Rossmo, colored by Ivan Placencia, and letter by Antworld. Moving on. Ruby / Justice League number 4. Premium cover.
Nice.
Like, yeah, that's Diana in the foreground.
So cool.
So this has actually been really cool. I've liked this series so far, but it's been very much like a traditional crossover where it's kind of like, what if these two met? And that's pretty much the crossover. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But this one's taking a cool angle, and each issue we get more and more characters added. In this case, we get Aquaman and I believe Jade, Green Lantern, and I'm forgetting somebody off the top of my head. No, it was just Jade, yeah. So basically, Aquaman. Oh, by the way, okay, I'm not fully caught up on the Ruby show, but there is a ship in Ruby called Bumblebee, which is Yang and Blake. One is blonde, one has black hair. That's why they call them Bumblebee, because they're yellow and black. They've never made it canon, but this comic is basically saying it's canon. Like, and so it'd be the first canon LGBT couple in that book, I think, or in that show, I think.
Nice.
But they're basically like, don't look at her. Like, she's like, I know why you're looking at her. Like, there's tons of like, they're very clearly attracted to each other and jealous of other people becoming involved. Like, Arthur is kind of like, you're hot, and she's like, no, basically. So, so Ruby Arthur's cute, of course.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, basically the Justice League and the Ruby group team up, and the Flash and Cyborg join from the last issue, and they get attacked by all these mind-controlled people. So the whole time, all these creatures have been mind-controlled, monsters, and now they're friends, right? And what they do, they're wearing masks, and when they're attacking them, and Ruby gets lucky and punches the mask off of one of them, and we get the big reveal of who is possessing them.
Nice. Great
Starro
timing.
the Conqueror.
Great timing.
The water is somewhere. Yeah, it's great. And then that's when Jessica Cruz, or I think, it's Jessica Cruz, not Jade, my bad. Jessica Cruz Green shows up. And they all have to work together to build a big spaceship to fly away and get away. So it was pretty cool. I really enjoyed it, and I'm very curious to see where this goes. I'll never not think that Faunus Batman is funny. It's the funniest thing. It's just his only power is echolocation. Excellent.
They look like Mermaid Man with that starfish on their face.
Yeah, exactly. All right, and that takes me to, yes, I do have more books. Infinite Frontier number 3, premium cover. So,
ooh, cool.
Psycho Pirate and Flash. So the last issue ended with the nuclear bomb going off, allegedly killing Cameron Chase when Captain Atom almost killed himself. So this one is dealing with a lot more of what's going on. We know that Alan Scott, Green Lantern, and Obsidian are looking for Jade because she was missing after that big explosion. We got Roy in space with the Black Lantern ring, and he's like, he doesn't want to use the ring because when he did, a bunch of zombies and shit came out. So he's leery about using it. We got the Justice Incarnate, or the multi-dimensional Justice League thing. They're doing their investigation as to what's happening. And we also see that Flash has been hypnotized by Psycho Pirate. And he's just running on a treadmill and doesn't know why. He thinks he's saving everybody, but he's, it's a trap. So, but yeah, a lot of stuff is going on, and the big thing with this one is we do get the reveal that Chase is still alive. So whether it's an alternate version of her or not, we're not sure. Also, Roy gets picked up by somebody, and they're like, hey, you need help, you need a lift, basically, in space, and he's like, sure. And he's talking, and then the guy uses this like sonic sonar thing and knocks him down. And then you realize it's Hector Hammond, the Green Lantern's bad guy. And he's about to kill him when he gets saved unexpectedly by, with this title is to be believed, Infinite Incorporated, which consists of Jade, who was missing.
Nice.
I think it's Atom Smasher in the background. Wildcat, female Wildcat. I don't know who that is. I know who he is. I just can't think of it off the top of my head. And then Power Girl in the front. So
oh no shit, cool.
If this is a new group, I would read this book. So especially if Roy joins. So really cool. I'm excited to see what we're going to get from Infinite Frontier from here. Final solo book. I did not pick up Static 2 because I didn't know it was out this week.
Damn.
But I did pick up the other Milestone relaunch, which is Icon and Rocket number 1.
Cool.
Yeah, so we can talk about both of them. Where is the credits? So Icon and Rocket, for those who don't know, is a Milestone relaunch, and it's kind of a play on the Superman trope for Milestone, and which an alien comes to Earth decides to become a superhero. In this case, he has a spunky sidekick, a la like Wolverine and Jubilee, like their partnership for a while. Kind of feels like that if Wolverine was Superman, basically.
Okay.
So, written by Reginald Hudlin, pencils by Doug Braithwaite, inked by Scott Hanna and Andrew Curry, colored by Brad Anderson, and lettered by Ann World. They do a really cool thing here. So basically, they do make it so that, yes, he is an alien that came down to Earth, survived his planet exploding. Or it's actually his ship exploded, and everybody on the ship died. And when it landed, I don't think it gave us a year. Yeah, it did 1843. It landed in a field in Georgia in 1843. So there were slaves at this point. And two slaves are the ones that find it. They touch the ship. The ship reads their DNA, basically, and changes the alien, who normally looks like this.
Oh, shit. Okay.
To match with them, so it looks like this.
Oh, okay.
That's a little black baby.
Yeah.
They pick up the baby and run off, and then the white, slave owners show up, and they're like, "What the hell happened?" And the black people already left, right? So that's kind of his origin. He's going to be raised by slaves, but they escape, and he's actually, raised free and all this stuff. And we skip forward to current times where Rocket, which is his sidekick, she's kind of like on the bad side, or like doing some bad things, running with a bad crowd. They want her to break into this house. Now, if I remember correctly, this part is very close to what happened in the original story. She breaks into the house with them. He catches them, comes out all sexy like, because of course he's got to come out with his shirt
Holy
off.
Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he comes out. He's like, "What the fuck you doing?" And then one of the idiots shoots him. And he's like, "How come there's no blood?" And he goes, "Because I'm not bleeding," which is a pretty badass story. Like, I'm down with that line. That's a good line.
It is.
He chases them off. He's like, "Get your shit together," basically. What is the actual line? He says, she's like, he goes, "How'd you get mixed up in this?" She goes, "I have no idea." He goes, "You need to figure it out. Fix your life." And I was like, "God damn, dude." And so she just sits and thinks about it, and then she goes back to him and knocks on the door and is just like, "I need your help." And she basically is like, "We could be superheroes, I could be your sidekick and stuff." And she's just like, "Don't you hate it that there's drug dealers right down the road selling drugs?" He's like, "Yeah, but if we got rid of them, someone to take their place." She's like, "Get rid of them too." Basically, like, let's just keep doing it. And she's like, "Don't you want to at least try?" So basically, you find out that, because obviously he's been around for a long time, over 100 years, there's a woman that looks a lot like her back in 1921 that was basically talking to him and doing the same thing, stepping up, and he just remembers her, and he's like, "All right, let's do this." So I really liked this book. I remember really liking Icon and Rocket the first time around. I actually liked it more than Static originally.
Oh, nice.
So I'm curious to see where it goes. All right, I get to stop talking for a second as Josue tells me about Static 2, the other Milestone relaunch.
Yes, and it's actually the Static book that I maybe want to go and pick up Icon and Rocket. I'll tell you why in a second. So, Static Season 1, Number 2. This one by Vita Ayala, Chris Cross, and Nicholas Draper Ivy. I don't want to spoil it too much because it does set up a few characters around Static's life, even his personal life, even in school. But
and I should mention that Rocket and him go to the same school. That's already knowledge if that's what you're thinking about.
Cool. It wasn't, but almost. So yeah, this one just deals with the aftermath of like the fucking asshole just like showing up with like the fires and just like literally setting the house on fire. Static is able to contain it using the tip that he got from, was it Mr. Metcalf, by using like the electricity to like ionize like the fire and just like put it out that way. Yeah, it's really dope. So the house is able to survive mostly. It was literally they were able to figure out that like the fire was all there's very little substance. Like it's just like it was like a weak ass fire, but it was just like all for show. Mostly internal stuff that would end up surviving. So the family immediately, once they were like kind of clear off most of like the debris and the glass out of the way, the family starts hashing it out. And by family, it's just most of the parents. And the two parents are just like, are at odds, and like, yo, he should, like, the mom was like, he should go back to like the doctors. It's all because of that gas. Like literally, he could get worse. And the dad's like, no, like my son's not going to be another fucking guinea pig like just for them. Like if anything, he's the one that saved us. Like why would we do that? And instead of like letting like the kids, in particular Static, get a word in, they're just like, kids, just go to your fucking rooms. Like we're the ones dealing with this.
The adults are talking.
Exactly. So they go and Static is just like listening to the whole conversation like from his room, and you just get to like just also like listen in. But the one part where he was reflecting back on like the smoke from like that literally just happened, and one of the parents goes, see how people talk about Icon, not safe to be out like that. I'm like, oh fuck, like they're even just like, they're still just like almost like connecting to like, they're like acknowledging how just like both sides almost like deal with just like still with all the bigotry and bullshit that it's just like, it wouldn't be safe for a kid like Static, like for Virgil to be out there like that, especially when his powers are just developing. So they're just like going at it, and it just and then it just cuts to like the rest of his personal life and just like stuff that just isn't really clicking with him. There's an old friend like Darius is just trying to, since like word got out that his house on fire, he literally starts like getting in his face with like a camera being like, hey, it's for the vlog, like what happened? And just like, yo, there's a reason why you don't come over anymore, because you started staying away because you wanted to do that. So it's kind of like, no, you're not going to come in closer now. So he's still really pissed. So but at the same time, he's not really realizing how he's antagonizing others by just being secluding himself. But then like the really cool part is that he gets a call by Mr. Metcalf again, and being like, hey, go to the storage before the cops show up because they're onto me, and just clean out before they get there. So he shows up, and I think this is where he finds like all of his gear. He opens like this pod, and you don't see much, but you do see some sunglasses, some suits over here, and he starts like opening cases, and he starts like detailing like how this stuff would work out for him when the cops show up. So it's like, oh shit, how he's going to get away, how he's going to use his powers to not endanger anybody else while using his powers. So I'm excited for the next issue.
Nice. Okay. And tell me about Wonder Woman 776.
Yes, Wonder Woman 776. This one, oh shit, I'm actually on the page. No, fuck, I'm on the page on the second story. Never mind. So this one, the one about Wonder Woman Diana going through the realms, and the art ever changing. So I really like this touch. Where the hell is the creative team? Still by Becky and, oh my god. Well, that's how there it is. Afterworlds Part 7, written by Michael W. Conrad and Becky Cloonan, art by Jill Thompson. For the first part. And then pencils and inks for Becky Cloonan for, I guess, the remainder of it. Colors by Jetty Belair and letters by Pat Brazo. So, she was at Olympus. Everything had gone to shit because of Janice, who had taken her place, in this case, her image. And with the anti-sequel, basically, she's killing every god that's going from realm to realm. And the next place that she went to, it's Elfheim.
Yeah.
And so art changed, and she's like actually really, really dope. That's the cool. Middle part is actually all feathered like, and it's like going into like with her color scheme. She has like the antlers for like the tiara, or these mini antlers for the tiara. It's very Renaissance like. I really, really fucking liked it. And Ratatosk, of course, is there. The little squirrel back from fucking Asgard. He's still roaming around with her. Of course, the first thing they see is just a giant table banquet, gorgeous, like delicious looking food. Diana's a little cautious. Ratatosk the squirrel is not. So he goes immediately for the pie and gets cursed into becoming a little boy. And he's just like, oh no, I'm ugly. And the whole time he's just like, I miss my tail. So
it's really interesting. They're going to another Norse mythology world, right?
In a different setting too. It's just like I like how they're exploring Diana, just like in these different aspects. Even though she's still dropping like she's still dropping like Olympus and like all these other places around, not just keeping it confined. Especially because, well, we'll get to him in a second. But elves show up, some dark elves show up and be like, "Hey, yo, it's you. How the fuck did you get out? You need to go back to prison." And she's like, no, wait, give me a second. Like, just don't want to listen to her. They take Ratatosk because they think he's a boy. They separate her and they put him in the cell with other children who are just kind of, I think they're just making it work for them. And Diana is just sent up to the top of the tower where the other one was supposed to be. She has a really cool conversation through a puddle because it's elf magic and this world is a little weirder. There's a puddle. And she was able to have a conversation with Deadman because that's like her only ally in this book. And I fucking love that about this book.
Yeah.
And because the art is different, is arguably one of my favorite designs of Dead Man. Like, he's actually dead.
Oh, that's cool.
Like, it's just such a cool design of him. Oh, yeah, cool. Yeah, he's just so super fucking cool in this shot, and he's just like he's just basically saying like, oh, like, yo, this line is like the tether is kind of like choppy, so I can only help so much. And enter as he's warning her that this place is hella fucking weird. Our boy, our wonderful, beautiful, from Volume 1, gorgeous ass face, Siegfried shows up. And I'm thinking, yo, this might not be real Siegfried because we're in Elf World, but I'm really hoping it is. So he starts adventuring with her and in hopes of finding Rathatos, because at the very least, he knows her too. So as an ally, they go after like the elves to try to get a word. Yeah. To try to get a word in that it's just like, yo, that wasn't me. It's another person that's pretending to be me. If you just give me a chance, I'll go and get it. And Diana's able to get a loophole in. So in order to be able to get away, and in this case, to finally to close off this issue on this part, she's gonna have to go her separate ways from Siegfried. And Siegfried is like, nah, babe, I'm here to fucking stay. I need to seek this adventure out with you. And of course, because like Rathatos is going to join, why not just have two of the Asgardian people on here and two of the best characters that I introduced from the series. So the fairies are able to let Diana, Siegfried, and Rathatos go instead of killing them. And of course, they go through a little portal crawling through a tree. And now they finally entered the DCU. She goes through a tree. And so checks out. See how the art is just like fairy tale, how she looks. And they go through the tree and they come out through a subway. And now she's all modernized, or not kind of modern. But I do like how she looks if this is the take we're going with in her being in the actual DCU. Yeah, I'm excited how she's like rotating around. Like, we weren't here for long. Mostly because she wasn't fucking welcome there before she just like ruined everything. Yeah, you know what? Diana, the warrior Wonder Woman, maybe shouldn't linger around too much in a pretty elf fairy world. So now she's back in the DCU, and yeah, I'm excited to see where she's gonna go because only part 7, and I'm hoping it's just not an 8-part series, but more of a 12-part like Afterworlds, like full Wonder Woman story to kind of like to just like get it going from here on out, and like this is what we're dealing with because. We're still only. This is basically the first arc. This is still basically the first story coming back from Future State, starting Infinite Frontier. Wonder Woman was like the big piece driving the whole thing. So she's still literally lost in her own world. Like I realized in 7 issues in that only because there's 2 issues going on in that one, Diana still has no idea of everybody freaking out about Yara. So I'm really curious how she's going to deal with what her 2 cents on it, or if she even knows what the big deal is. So, man, yeah, I'm excited for these 2 Wonder Women to actually finally meet.
Nice. All right. Let's move on to our next book for DC, Robin number 4. So, creative team, written by Joshua Williamson. I know this without even looking. I'm looking while I'm talking. Because he's doing great work in DC. It's at the back, isn't it? Stupid.
No, it's in the front. It's flip 2 pages. It's with Ra's al Ghul on top of the boulder.
Yeah, okay. There it is. Written by Joshua Williamson, drawn by George Corona, colored by Luis Guerrero, and letter by Troy Pateri. So this might be my cover of the week.
Oh, really? Oh, you got the variant. Let me see it. Oh. Okay, that's sick as fuck. That's a cool one.
This is the best. So yeah. So we open up with the manga that Damien's been reading, which I thought was funny. It's just a great touch about this. So in the last issue, Connor threw Damien off a cliff. Didn't kill him, just hurt him a bunch. And Damien ended up getting saved and taken to Ra's al Ghul, his grandfather. And Ra's al Ghul's all like, I'm a pacifist now. I'm doing the right thing. And he's like, fuck you. I'm going to attack you, basically. So Damien kind of has to deal with his shit. And we see a bit more from the other people on the island. And one of the keys is the tournament can't actually start until everybody dies once. Mm-hmm. And Ravager was the last one to die. And she ends up getting killed and betrayed by Respawn, the guy who looks like her dad, basically. So that's awkward. But Damien and Raish have their little moment, and they have a talk, and Damien's like, I need to get back because of the tournament. And in the end, Damien is on his way back, but makes a stop off in Corto Maltese. And we found out Ravager made a communication off island, and she called in the cavalry, which is the entire Bat family, except for Bruce, because Bruce can't be fucked to do this.
But you know how he was seconds away from being there for Dick.
Yeah. So we get Dick Grayson. We even get Jason, which is great because I always love Jason and Damien together. They're great. We get Stephanie. We get Tim. No Barbara, but I'm sure she's on the comms. So,
dude, okay, not gonna lie, Tim looks actually pretty cool like that. That pose is cool from Tim.
Yeah, I mean, Tim's always drawn to be cool. Tim's the coolest person on the planet. No one's as good as Tim Drake.
Only because the way they drew Dick was just like almost like he doesn't have eyebrows, and it was supposed to be under the mask, but the forehead is just too big. It's almost like Joel McHale is being Nightwing right now.
But pretty cool, setting up the tournament. I'm curious to see if they're going to try to stop him from going back and what that means, you know?
Oh, yeah, because he has to fucking murder.
So, that leads us to our last DC book, which is Teen Titans Academy number 5. I loved this issue so much.
I have to go with this one.
Good, I did too. It's so good, right?
You did? Okay.
Written by Tim Sheridan, drawn by Steve Lieber, colored by Dave Stewart, and lettered by Rob Lay. Once again, deluxe cover. So, we just saw during the investigation into who is Red X, we saw the Bat Pack. Well, now we get the origin of the Bat Pack. And I think it's really interesting that basically they all started as orphans living in a home for children. And we find out that the guy running it is selling the kids to a doctor to experiment on. And Diego, the guy that's talking way too much, the Chupacabra as we know him.
Chupacabra.
He basically lies and says he is Lucas because they were going to take his buddy Lucas. He lies and he goes with them, and they basically track him down. It's a typical origin story. Bad guy experiments on innocent person, gives them powers. Really cool. Nightwing ends up saving them, and he's like, you guys, you're a team and you're so good. And he talks about how great they are at this and how they're smart enough to let Jim Gordon know what's going on so they can do this. And he's like, how'd you like to join Teen Titans Academy? And then we cut to the Teen Titans Academy, and then that's where Red X has been talking to them. He's basically like, what's your origin? They tell him. And he reveals his face to them, not to us.
Stupid fuck.
Bastard. And he's just like, I want you to join my team. Fuck Dick Grayson, basically. And then he's like, he'll be here in a minute. And they're like, what? Red X leaves. Dick pops in and he's like, hey, you guys are missing it. And what it was is it's a fireworks show on the roof because they've passed the first term of the school. So
this is the quickest term ever.
I was looking at that too. I was like, okay. I mean, we saw
we barely we only explored the students. Like, give us more of the school to call it a term. But I mean, okay. I liked how fucking the origin story was cool. Hard work does fucking pay off. Like Megabats, the scrawny kid that was like pumping the whole time since back then. And then now he's like, he's fucking mega bad, dude. He's awesome.
And I like the fact they point out kind of the three of them together they basically equal Batman. Like, he's strong, she's a genius, and he's the best detective. Like, that's Batman. So, but this is really good. I'm really enjoying Teen Titans Academy. God, I want to know who Red X is, damn it.
Me too. Especially because he chose of everyone to just reveal it to these kids just because they rubbed off on him really well. But damn it, I want to know too, damn it.
Yeah. All right, well, that takes us to our last publisher. As always, we're going to end with Marvel. Josue, talk to me about Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah. Dude, okay, again, starting with the cover. Did you even see the variant to this one?
I didn't see the variant, I saw the A.
It's Peach Momoko's turn to make the Spider-Man variant.
Show me.
Yeah, you're gonna have to go back out there because it's like literally the best ever.
Oh my god,
dude! Yeah, it's like as soon as I got it, because like I usually go for like my shop tends to give me the variants most of the time, and so I have to go back there and swap them out. But this time, as soon as it popped out, it's like you were my first thought, and like of course he's gonna get this week. I can't wait to talk about it with him this week because how could he not? How could he miss this one? Like, she did an amazing job with. Okay, yeah, no, it's fucking awesome.
I'll get it this weekend.
Yeah, I really hope you do. So, this is Spider-Man's, since the last one was the prologue to Sinister War, this is actually Amazing Spider-Man Sinister War tie-in part 1. So, yeah, it's basically just going after, it's mostly through the perspective of Kindred, and just kind of setting the table on how everything kind of played out. It's just like in the middle of like the whole clusterfuck. It still doesn't explain if it's two Harrys, like two different. That's still in the air. That's still in the air. Even the prologue is like, it still doesn't answer like who's in the cell next to Carly Cooper. Even though Kindred is not really hiding from like saying some Harry facts. But yeah, this one's just like playing mostly catch up on like kind of where he's been and how he plotted everybody coming together. Really, it's just really mostly like a exposition on how he was able to kind of pull this off. But yeah, it's gonna be a big one. I really don't want to like get too deep into this one because it's just like we didn't even touch on any of the Sinister Six people. It's just mostly Kindred running it through Mysterio, and in the end, Mysterio fucking, I don't want to say he backstabs MJ because like they were kind of partnering up, but he basically leaves MJ with Kindred, and now they're going to hash it out in the next issue or the next part. Next part being Sinister War. So yeah, I expect them to be together out of nowhere.
Nice. All right, I'm going to go through my solos.
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars: War of the Bounty Hunters. Star Wars number 15. Written by Charles Soule, drawn by Ramon Rosanas, colored by Rochelle Rosenberg, lettered by Clayton Cowles. Most of this one is actually only tangentially related to the War of the Bounty Hunters. So you have Starlight Squadron, which is like the group that Wedge and Luke are in. They're like this legendary squadron during the second half of this war, you know, and they're going around kicking ass. And they're getting a distress signal from this one planet. They fly over there and they're like, we're not sure who's even here. And part of them are like, is it worth sending our best over there to try to save these people? There might not be, anybody left. They show up. They have seven X-Wings is all they really have. And they show up and there's a fucking Star Destroyer there with a bunch of like smaller ships. Oof. But they're like, we're going to win. So they just keep shooting all the smaller ships down. They're like, we don't know how we're going to take down the Star Destroyer. Somebody on the ground was talking about how the ground is really like not stable. So they send them coordinates and they're not able to tell them what to do, just to shoot there. That's all they get told them. And their signal gets cut off. And like, guess we're going to do it. They fly down there, they shoot it. It causes a dormant volcano to go off underneath the Star Destroyer and does this to it.
Oh, so badass.
Yeah, I want to see that in the movies really badly.
Yeah. How about like natural disasters fuck with the ships? Like, that'd be dope as fuck.
So they rescue the base and they're like, we're not even sure who's here or anything like that. And then they get a message, a voicemail like, thank you so much, we appreciate the assist. And they find out they just saved Mon Mothma, that she was there the entire time. So it was really cool. And then tying back into the War of the Bounty Hunters is literally one page where it's Boba confronting Leia, Chewie, and Lando. And that's pretty much it. It doesn't really advance it anymore, basically. So, which leaves us to Star Wars: The High Republic, number 7. I got this variant cover because I love these Star Wars figure covers.
The figure.
Yeah, so. Mm-hmm. And I love Keeve. She's great. So, written by Kevin Scott, drawn by Georges Junti, inked by Carl Story, colored by Annalisa Leone, and lettered by Ariana Mayer. So basically, she's dealing with the fact that she did help the Jedi in finding these plant people that are trying to take over the universe, but she kind of took a risk, and she's realizing she stepped too close to the darkness, and is kind of like dealing with the fact that she has to, handle that in her life now. She is sent on a very small mission because it's safe for her to do so. She's not fighting the plant people, though. She's fighting these dudes. She gets knocked down, and then she gets saved by this person.
Oh,
yeah,
sick.
Who's just white.
That's dope.
And she basically asks basically who she is, and she asks, which temple do you belong to? And they say, none. That's the thing about way seekers. We go where the Force leads us, and the Force led me to come here. And she's like, oh, to stop them? And she's like, no, to find a Jedi that's in danger of losing herself. So, yeah, so this is kind of like a wandering monk type Jedi.
That's
dope. It's a really cool idea. So I'm really liking this book. Is really good. I love the High Republic stuff. So, all right, next up, The Mighty Valkyries #4. This book is so funny. Written by Jason Aaron, Torrin Groenbeck, drawn by Erica Durso and Mattia Diulis, coloring by Marcio Meniz, lettering by Joe Sabino. So this is the one that's taking place between Jane and Runa. They're separate stories, but they're starting to overlap. The main thing is that we know that Carnilla, the wife of Hela, stole these 3 babies from a pregnant woman, and she's basically trying to make them into her own pantheon of gods, is what it is. So Hela's not happy about that, obviously. So Runa shows up at Jane's place, and she's like, hey, Jane, we met once, basically. And Jane's talking to one of her friends, Lisa, who is a lesbian, which has a great moment. She's like, you're a Valkyrie too? She's like, sort of. She's like, so you're a superhero? She's like, I guess you can say that. She goes, oh, that's too bad. And she goes to leave, and she's like, it was nice to meet you. She's like, did I say something wrong? She's like, she doesn't date superheroes. She's like, Lisa, I'm not super and most certainly not a hero. I'm a mess, I promise.
Yes.
So yeah, that was great. And then yeah, so basically it's dealing with the children in hell, and then we're dealing with the fact that Runa is, quote, going back to Asgard for the first time in centuries.
Oh shit, nice.
And so Sif is talking to Thor, and she's like, listen. She's like, basically, he was having a drinking competition with Volkstag. She's like, listen, a Valkyrie's on the way. He's like, oh, Lady Jane's coming. She's like, no, one from before your time, one of the original 9. And he's like, impossible, they're all dead. He's like, if she claims, and Sif is like, she does not claim anything. She is what she says. She carries Jarnbjorn, the axe, right, that Thor used to wield. And Thor's like, then she's the thief. And he's just like, she's like, no, he's not. This is why I'm telling you now. I want you to get all this silliness out of your system, basically. Like, and so she shows up, and Thor is kind of on his best behavior, and they end up having a drinking competition with Volstagg, the 3 of them, and they do this passive aggressive thing that's so great.
Oh, that's good because it was kind of a dick to Volstagg in the last issue.
Yeah. But they do this passive aggressive thing back and forth where Thor is like, it was certainly noble of you to come here and to ask my leave to wield Jarnbjorn. I'll happily grant it to you. More drinks. And she's like, why would I ask permission to wield my own axe? He's like, yes, that's the spirit. I'm sure you'll make it your own in no time. She's like, shouldn't be hard since it is mine. He's like, exactly. As I said, you have my leave. Like, you just keep going like that. It's really great.
This motherfucker. Oh no, I really I love that so much. If she's one of the originals, and like I forget how exactly they painted her because it was more like a forgotten, long lost realm. Would she know Angela?
I don't think Angela was one of the original 9.
Not original 9, but she was part of the 10th realm that was around like way the fuck back when.
Maybe we'll have to see. So, but and then we get this thing where Jane has to go do something, and she's with Mor, the dragon or the wolf dude, and she's just like, you know, she's trying to talk to him about humanity and who humanity is and what they're like and whether they're worth it or not. And then he's just like, she has to go to hell because she found the kids that are missing. And Mor's just sitting there by himself, and he starts to think about, like, he reaches into this lady's mind, and he's like, she has so much pain, but she has love. And you see him start to turn, and that's when Craven stabs him from behind with an enchanted spear through the chest.
Oh no shit! Ooh, fucking Craven. It's interesting how they're putting him up against fucking Valkyries. What the fuck? Yeah.
So So yeah, and then basically the issue just kind of wraps up with a lot of stuff going on, and it's just so cool. It's all coming together. All these little bits they've been putting together, including Runa going to the Library of Asgard, reading some additional information about what Kvasir told her, and Hela, confronting Karnilla about what she did, and the whole plane is like shaking to death and everything, and she's trying to figure out exactly what happened. And so at the end, Hela, basically Hel is not obeying Hela, and a voice comes out of nowhere and says, "Hela, you have been weighed, you have been measured, and you have been found wanting." And we get this dope ass skeleton
What?
that comes out of the ground.
So cool.
So
good, dope
and
design.
the next issue is the last issue, by the way.
Okay.
Very curious to see where that ends up.
It's interesting how it went from one mini to another mini.
Yeah, exactly. Next up, the only cover that was in competition for me for the best cover of the week, Black Widow #9. This cover is great.
Ooh, Eisner winner. Of a series.
I want to start with that. Thank you. Congratulations to the creative team for Black Widow.
Yes,
fully deserving. I'm 100% aboard on this book. So Kelly and everybody else that works on it, you guys are doing an amazing job. Keep it up. So
for best new series, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it was competing with some like great fucking books. Again, like I love how Department of Truth was actually calling out. I was like, hey, we were nominated too, but it's like, nah, bitch, like a better book one, but still, go both great stuff.
So written by Kelly Thompson, penciled by Elena Casagrande and Rafael de la Torre, inked by Elizabeth D'Amico and Rafael de la Torre, colored by Jordi Belair, and letter by Corey Petit. So this is continuing the story with Natasha and Yelena in San Francisco doing their thing. Now Arania's with them, Anya Corazon, and they got this other girl that has electricity powers, but basically the bad guys creating these people with powers. This girl with electricity is one of them. She joined them, but every time she uses her powers, there's a chance she could basically overload and die. That's happening to these people. One of the things I always praise this book for, and I tell people you need to read this because the action is just fucking great. It's like some of the best drawn martial arts action. This 2-page spread, dude, is so good. So I'm going to hold it up for you. It's her doing one spin kick and taking out a bunch of guys in the background if you see them.
Okay, that's
so you see the first panel, it's her ready for it, and then she does it.
And it's just going around.
Back. She just clears out everything around her.
Oh, and I love the pose where she's like the other way, where how she would land.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so.
That's really cool.
But yeah, it's really cool. Also, you watched the Black Widow movie, right?
Absolutely.
I'm starting to read Yelena's voice in Florence Pugh's voice from them, and this makes the comic even better. Like where she says something like, "I hope you didn't have a heavy lunch." She's like, "Even better, I had no lunch today." just like little, like she's very snippy and clippy. Like they put her in a hospital bed because she's hurt. And she's like, "I do not need this fancy bed. I hate it." Basically. So, but in the end, they recruit one of the guys that helped create these powers to help them stop it. So, yeah, pretty cool. And I'm excited. I really love this Black Widow book. It's so great. Totally underrated. Next up, our second of 3 Black-themed Marvel books. This happened yet again this month. Black Cat #8. Written by Jed MacKay. Drawn by C.F. Villa. Colored by Brian Reber. Letter by Farron Delgado. Okay, so Felicia's done with her previous thing. And now she has a shiny new mark, as they put it. And most of this issue is just... Okay, I'm sorry. Just the art of this title is fucking beautiful. Like, I absolutely love it.
It really is.
She's depressed because of what happened with Black Fox and everything. And she has a new mission where she's going to steal something. And so her crew does their thing. They knock out the power and everything. She breaks into this vault. She breaks into a storage container in this warehouse. And inside is Nick Fury.
Ooh,
and
nice.
He's like, "I can't let you do this. You need to not do this." And she's like, "I'm doing what I'm going to do." And then she's like, "Bruno, reel us in," which is her psychic dude. and he uses a crane to pull up the thing, which causes Nick to fall out of it. She's like, later, bitch, basically. He runs, jumps, gets back in there, and starts shooting at her. Like shooting to kill, which is interesting. He's just kind of like, no, you don't understand what you're doing, and all this stuff. They have a little confrontation. She ends up winning because she drops him out of it. And they basically find a metal coffin. And they open up the metal coffin. And it's Star.
Oh, okay.
Now, the name of this, I intentionally did not mention the name of this crossover, is Infinity Score.
Oh,
she's doing the Infinity Gems. Because of course she would. And we've been seeing in the annuals, the backstory at the end with who has the Infinity Gems. Star is one of them.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Yep. So that's really cool.
I'm really interested on how like the direction they went with Nick Fury's costume based on another book that we'll be talking about in a second, because like I didn't think they're going to repeat in that sense.
Yeah.
But I'll elaborate later.
Well, let's start talking about our mutual books, and we are going to start with Beta Ray Bill number 5. Josue, please read the creative team for me because I don't have my copy in front of me.
Yes, well, it's not going to be that hard because this book was written and drawn by Daniel Warren Johnson with Mike Spicer as a color artist, with the coloring assist probably, and George Sabino with Johnson for lettering. Nice.
So, this is the final issue of the mini. And Beta Ray Bill's been trying to get a weapon so he can transform back to his normal self. He's been accompanied by Scourge and Pip and Scuttlebutt. And he finally is confronting Surtur, the one who's destroyed his entire family, or entire planet even. And it comes down to a fight between them. He convinces Surtur to shrink down to his size to fight like mortals, basically, which is the dumbest thing Surtur's ever done, by the way. And they just have an awesome fist fight. It's great.
So badass. Like, it's not your fight scene that you would expect from a Thor book. Maybe exactly from our Beta Ray Bill book. But when you think like Marvel mysticism, Marvel cosmos, you don't picture like close combat, MMA, kickboxing, like wrestling moves. And badass ones, like ones that you can feel the bone crunching, like, and not by a hammer swinging. It's like these kicks, these knees, these uppercut knees to the chin are so real, so raw. Such a badass book.
Daniel Warren Johnson is a wrestling fan. I know it for a fact.
Oh, I can definitely. The last book when Beta Ray Bill did like the wind up clothesline punch from.
It's the Rainmaker clothesline from Kazuchika Okada in New Japan Wrestling, by the way. Oh.
And in this one, like the actual authentic kick, a great kickboxing visual move was when Surtur's getting like those two like block punches, and then he gets the uppercut. And then jumps to knee Beta Ray Bill like up the chin, like a double hit like that. It's such a badass page. Like I'd get that shit in a poster, and it's my hero losing because it's just such a cool scene.
Great. So meanwhile, Pip shows up to help. Surtur punches through his chest, but then discovers a bunch of bombs on his arm and blows off Surtur's arm.
It's not even a punch. It's like he literally like impales like a straight hand through. It's just poor guy.
So Pip's bleeding out. Meanwhile, Scourge is like, let's go fight. And Scuttlebutt's like, no, I need your help. I need something only you can do. And so Scuttlebutt completely reforms her ship, that gigantic spaceship, into a gun.
It literally, it's a page turn and you have to go horizontal. And it's the coolest fucking gun and the easiest trigger for Scourge.
Starts to cry, basically. And he says, thank you, which I thought was great.
Don't thank me, just shoot the fire demon. And it's like, and again, like you get like it's page turn, and you come back normal, page turn, and you have to go back to horizontal to see this baby shoot and what it does to Surtur. And then again, it's just like more of a cartoonish type of blast, but like that cool one that'll just make you go like, whoa, like the damage, the implication that this thing can fucking do, especially how it leaves Surtur. It's just like, fuck yeah.
So, in the end, Bill is able to claim the blade.
Yes.
And I was worried about what would happen if he got the blade. Like, Would it do what he needed? Is it evil? Would he want to wield the weapon of his enemy? You know, but that doesn't seem to be as much of an issue, at least not yet. He wields it. He's able to transform back into his normal self. They're using whatever power they have to keep Pip alive, basically. And then they're like, I don't know how we're going to get out of here. And that's when the Valkyries show up, and they're like, hey, Scourge's mission's done. They're like, can we get a lift? And like, yeah, sure. So they tow them out of Surge's realm, and they're out. And that's kind of where we're left off. Scourge goes back to the afterlife. Pip is in recovery. He like did a really good job. And yeah, that's where we're left off. And now Beta Ray Bill doesn't seem fully satisfied, I guess is the way to put it.
Yeah, something's still lingering inside him. Right before that last page, though, I really love that there's like the lack of words is because Hook is playing in the background.
Yeah,
and that's like it's all that needed to be said for that moment between him and Scuttlebutt. Like, so good. Like, they're playing Hook in space. Like, fuck yes.
Really good book. I really enjoyed this mini. It's excellent. Pick up the trade when it comes out, guys. You're
absolutely
or a Beta Ray Bill fan. Pick it up. It's wonderful. So, all right, next up, the United States of Cap America, or otherwise known as USACA. Number 2. So this one's written by Christopher Cantwell, with a backup story written by Mohali Mashigo. Art is by Dale Eaglesham, with the backup story being done by Natasha Bustos. Coloring is done by Matt Mia, and lettering by Joe Caramagna. So as we know, Falcon and Steve are just bombing around, trying to find Steve's shield that was stolen from him. And I had this thought, actually, before this issue came out. I'll tell you what it is in a minute. But I saw this coming, this one thing, because I think it's just wishful thinking on my part, but we'll talk about it. Basically, they're going around meeting all these other people claiming the title of Captain America, basically. And the one in this one is actually in Pennsylvania, and they're basically trying to make sure that people get safe water, which is a problem in Pennsylvania, as well as, you know, Michigan gets a lot of the press for it, but it is a problem a lot of places. So they get there, they find out that this young woman who's claiming herself to be Captain America as well has been arrested for it, Nichelle Wright. And they're like, yeah, she did it, which doesn't really fit the MO, you know, like, doesn't really make sense. So they go and they check out the pipe, and it has been busted by Steve's shield. They're able to tell that. And then suddenly they get attacked by evil Captain America who stole the shield. And then they also get they get attacked by the female like leader of the evil Captain America. This is where my guess was. I predicted who this was going to be, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm obsessed with that character, and I'm just looking for them to come back at any point. So, anyways, we have this great story about corrupt cops blaming shit on, you know, people of color just because they can, because it's convenient. But Falcon and Steve bust her out of the police station. I absolutely love her costume.
Oh, dude, hell yes!
Single-legged tights for some reason. I don't know.
Okay,
really
very 90s.
It's just cool as hell to me. So,
I mean, like the trench coat is cool, but I love like the mask and then a hoodie over it, because I'm just like a sucker for like a sweater and then like a jacket over it. So this look is just so badass. And, like the color of her dreads are awesome. Like, yeah, a great design. Also, her shield, the extra blue instead of the extra red, I really like that touch.
Definitely. So, but yeah, they basically free her. We get in the backup story. We get some more about what happens to her after that. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
But the big reveal is we find out that the fake Cap is Speed Demon. Didn't see that one coming. But his leader, the one ordering him around, is the Red Skull's daughter, Sin. I love Sin. That Brubaker run of Captain America when she was in it, that's the best.
Oh no, yeah, and that's the thing. Like following that story through, I would have seen it coming. Just literally, just based on the hair, I would have been like, okay. But I don't remember when she came back. Cause literally, the last thing I remember from her is Fear Itself, when she became like the next Red Skull and her face was all fucked up. So I don't remember when she got like just normal again.
Yeah, I can't remember.
We're all pretty again.
I don't remember anything she's done since then. So.
Yeah. So yeah, my thing I want to touch back on was Cap suit. Because I read this one, I didn't read what you just read, Black Cat. Black Cat, yeah. I fucking love the super soldier suit. Like this, I mean, that's what I call it, or that's what they call it in the hero age, because somebody else was Cap. But this one's like the super soldier suit, and I love that he's just like not really taking the Cap mantle, really, even though they are Cap, next to Sam's Cap. So I love that they're just like branching with the suits. So I was just like curious how or why they'd go with Nick Fury donning also the super soldier suit, where maybe they could have changed this Cap for the regular Cap suit, since we're then actual branching all the Cap suits. So yeah, it just becomes a little conundrum. The next thing though is that I really wonder if the right will how they're gonna spin this one this time, because last time was like, oh, Captain America doesn't believe in the American dream, when they completely misread the page. And I'm really wondering if this week we'll just be seeing Captain America piss in Gettysburg.
Captain America against police. Captain America hates the police. Like
Captain America wants pissed in Gettysburg. Bad guy.
All right. Let's move on to our next book. Shang-Chi, number 3.
Yes.
Written by the 3-time Eisner winner.
Dude, champ.
Congratulations to Jean Lewin Yang. Drawn by Dai Kuran, colored by Triona Farrell, and letter by Travis Lanham. So as has been happening throughout the series, it's Shang-Chi working with the 5 Weapons Society and running into random people from the Marvel Universe. In this issue, it's Wolverine. We meet one of Shang-Chi's his newest sibling that they just discovered, the Lake Witch. And it turns out she doesn't use like a physical weapon, she uses a flute. And of course, she turns out to be a mutant, which necessitates Wolverine showing up. So Shang-Chi's like, join us in the Weapons Society, and Wolverine's like, hey, you can come to Krakoa if you want. And of course, heroes come together, they get into a fight. And they get into a really cool fight. I love Shang-Chi and Wolverine fighting, it's a cool idea. Because Wolverine does have the martial arts training, but obviously Shang-Chi's the best fighter ever, so... But basically, she has to make the decision in the end of where she wants to go. Also, Shang-Chi ends up saving Wolverine, even though Wolverine made a point, hey, I would have healed, but thanks. And then in the end, she agrees to go with Shang-Chi and becomes the new Sister Staff. So that's really cool. I dig that idea. And the others didn't want her to go because she's a mutant. They're basically racist against mutants.
Yeah. It got hella little like, what are we really saying here?
Yeah.
But it was just more like, they're passed down this type of belief, and now they're really they're going to have to work around that. And they fucking have to better fucking try.
And then
at least it's her Dagger, since she's younger, she's like more open-minded to it. But fucking Saber is just more like, there's some history there. I'm like, oh, brother, please.
And then the mysterious person that keeps going to every single person we talk to and trying to turn them against Shang-Chi makes another appearance. So, I'm curious. The next issue is going to be Shang-Chi versus the Fantastic Four. Which is cool because now there's 4 people on Shang-Chi's side.
No, that's true. We can actually bring the whole family for the trip. Every single time it's like been like single trips, which is cool to get to know them.
It's
trying to drive
them
back.
Fighting the 414.
Nice.
I'm excited about that. So.
If anything, just because like for that one, I'm excited just for Dai Kuran. Like again, like a favorite of ours from like indie comics, and to actually make it to one of the big 2, and then having to draw a big ass property. Yeah, him doing Cap last issue, awesome. But this reveal of Wolverine, so cool. Fucking Dai Kuran, like oh my god. And another thing I loved about this issue was actually answering the question. It's like, it's the 5 deadly weapons. And last I remember, the Sister Staff died, right? The bald one from the big arc, So I was like, we got to replace that. So really cool. It's really cool how they answered it in this issue.
Yeah, definitely. All right. We lost another series this week that ended in such a great way. Black Knight, Curse of the Ebony Blade, number 5. Here we go. Written by Cy Spurrier and Sergio Davia. Inked by Sean Parsons. Colored by Reef Prianto and lettered by Corey Petit. So we saw in the last issue, Dane gave up the sword. And if he's not holding the sword and he's killed, he won't be resurrected. He gave it to Jax. his assistant, which we'll be coming back to in a moment. And basically, whoever's holding the sword, as long as they are of Arthur's blood, they will come back to life. Let's talk about, first of all, how awesome Mordred looks with this crown on. That's some fucking Western future shit right there. I love it. And everything seems to be going bad. And then he has this app he's been using where people basically can basically scream into the void. That's how he's using to control people. And Dane, of all people, was using it as he was dying to confess all this stuff. And he's like, oh, this is great. Let's listen to it. Let's see what this douchebag is saying. So he tells a really sad story about how when he was young, there was a woman he was in love with. And how, god damn, dude, this is so good. Like, what a way to end it, Sai. So basically, there was a woman he was in love with, and she got cancer. And he was basically like, he loved her. He's like, I loved her so much. We're two dumb kids, we just loved each other more. Her folks found her a specialist in London. They had high hopes. The whole family moved over there. And, well, she asked me to come, got down on one knee and everything. I booked, just the way he wrote this is perfect. I booked tickets. I got a passport. I bought a ring. I reread books on supporting people through illness. I did everything, all except showing up at the airport. Fuck, man.
Yeah.
It was first year of college, and he basically says he made excuses for himself, and he's just like, we said we'd write and everything, wait for each other. She was dead inside of a year. And you're like, fuck, what a confession. And you're like, oh, This is the end. This is, oh my god, they're writing such a great ending. Meanwhile, Jax is back to life, and she has the sword, and Mordred's just like, how could you be doing this? And I love this reveal. He's just basically, what, are you so fucking chauvinistic that you didn't even think it could be tracked down to a woman? You know what I mean? Like, you kill all the men, but not the women. And it's just like, yeah. And then he's like, I only found out she even existed last month. I thought maybe if I gave her a job, engaged academically at first, that'd soften the blow when I told her who I was. Shima died because she refused radiotherapy because she was pregnant.
Yeah.
She never told me, and who can I blame her for? Or who can blame her for that? I have a daughter, Mordred, and she's gonna kick your ass. Oh. What a fucking reveal, man! Oh my god. We're gonna go back-to-back reveals on comics, by the way, guys. But we'll get to that one in a second. And then the cool thing, Bloodstone shows back up. Thank God, because I was really annoyed. And they work together to stop him, but in the end, because Dane was attached to the crown, technically, because he was given his confession when he died, he was able to use that to come back to life as well.
In the coolest and gruesome way.
It's fucking great. So he comes back, he takes all the ebony artifacts, and he makes a very uncomfortable looking throne with it.
It's so fucking ugly.
Yeah, so he can sit, basically you sit on it and you can see what's going on. You can basically see that. And they're basically just like, the sword, the sword controls people, and she reveals she made a costume. And it looks sick. Looks just like his, actually, but it looks sick on her. And she's like, the Black Knight isn't a person, Dane, it's just a job. It doesn't have to be a lonely one. One of us goes out, swings the sword, saves the world. The other one sits right here, guiding. Then we swap. Nobody knows who's behind the visor. Nobody needs to. Two broken people, one hero. Fuck yes. This is such a great.
The Black Knights will return.
I'm so excited. Like, I cannot wait to see what they do with this. It's so good.
Yeah, for sure. It's such a great drop for like a mini series to like, hey, this is to set up something big for this character, and then introduce something for the foreseeable future, someone who should be important from this point on. I love it. I love when Marvel does stuff like this.
I like that they're not afraid to be like, yeah, there could be two of those. There could be two Spider-Man. There could be two Hawkeyes.
Yeah.
So, all right, that takes us to Eternal 6.
Ooh.
All right, written by Kieran Gillen, drawn by Asad Rubik. color by Matthew Wilson, letter by Clayton Cowles. So last issue we found out the traitor was Fastos, who was such a great guy. He's such a nice dude. Everybody loves him. Why would he do this? Well, you find out why. In this awesome...
When you texted me, you read this before I did, and you texted me, or you messaged me, and I was just thinking, I was like, oh, I mean, like, I get Eternals, but whatever. It can't be that. It can't be that good from my end, since I don't really get the reveals. Holy shit. So glad I've been reading this whole time.
So basically, they're fighting Thanos, and we find out that Fastos basically recreated Thanos and put a failsafe in him so he can kill him at any time, basically. And he basically has a reason for everything he's doing. There's a really cool fight, including Cersei putting burning fungus all over Thanos because she can.
So badass. It made me think of the potential of the Mushroom Girl from My Hero.
Yeah, right. Like, so cool. Meanwhile, of course, they're all fighting him, and Sprite is still with Toby, keeping him safe because she promised she would. And all the Eternals get teleported around the world, and the only one who can make it back in time is Icarus. And a really cool shot. I love that shot of them just blasting off.
Oh, and it's talking about the arrow. So cool.
Oh, so good. So he gets there, and we see Droog actually go after Fastos, which is great because, of course, Droog's a douchebag. He does something to his memory. We don't know what yet. We'll see later on. So basically, they fight. Thanos gets away, and they're like, "Okay, we need to fuck you up," and everything like that. And in the process, Icarus dies, but the machine's back online, so that's great.
Yay!
He's brought back to life.
Mission accomplished.
Right. Okay. So Fastos tells us, because he was the first Eternal to come back last time, he was alone with the machine and was able to dig into it more than anyone else ever has. He discovered something, the cost of our immortality. And then we see Icarus come back to life. Yay, he's back.
Because they're eternal.
And he opens his eyes, and Toby Robson dies.
Yeah.
Basically, every time an Eternal is brought back to life, a human life has to be sacrificed to bring them back.
Yeah.
I love the thing Gilgamesh is like, every time I killed one of you. And
yeah.
Like, that's a good fucking point. Like, oh, God.
Every time I was meant to punish you and take you out so you can learn your lesson for the next time. The Protector, like, oh, yeah, that was heavy as fuck.
And I like when Zurus comes back. There's like a wait to when Zurus comes back because he's like, hey, I'm back. I'm alive. I'm like, what's up, guys? He's like, congratulations, let's meet. And it's just kind of like, oh, there goes another human. Like, I was just like, oh, fuck. And now I'm going to think of that every time one of them comes back to life. It's like, oh. And basically, they're told, hey, let's go meet with the Unimind, which is the mind of all the Eternals together, and we'll figure out what's going on, what we need to do. Well, apparently this has happened multiple times. They found out multiple times, and every time they bring it up, their mind gets erased by the Unimind. So they're like, not this time. And they go rogue, and they go to the Deviants, their mortal enemies. We come in peace to the changing people. We would join you. Help us be the changing people, too. Oh, man. What a fucking twist. Kieran Gillen's a genius.
I know. I mean, the whole time it's just like Icarus just watching him, like stalking the boy, just like from like up above.
He doesn't know why.
He doesn't know why. Fuck. What a great way to do it.
Go back to like, remember the bit in the earlier issues where Icarus told the guy to wait for him and doesn't have a concept of time?
Yeah.
And so the guy just waited his entire life for him.
Yep.
It's everything into perspective. It's fucking brilliant, man. Oh my god. It's so good. All right, so let's change it up a little bit. Let's have a little fun. Amazing Fantasy #1.
Okay.
So everything apparently is done by Kara Andrews, letter by Joe Sabino.
Do you remember Kara Andrews? Spider-Man Rain, buddy.
Oh, okay. This doesn't really look like that at all, though.
Honestly, no. I looked at the name and it's like, that is a name. I'm very familiar with Spider-Man Rain, but that book was also from like 2007. The improvements are like this person's grown because this book looks very different.
So I don't have much of a judgment on this book yet because there's so much setup. But basically what it looks like is we're getting alternate versions of some of the heroes based on changes being made in their life, basically. So we get one where Cap is on a sinking ship and allegedly drowns or gets swallowed by a creature, actually, and wakes up on a beach. And he has long hair and a beard, so it's obviously been a long time at that point. We also get a young Black Widow escaping the Red Room, running away from the Red Room. And we also get Spider-Man and fighting and waking up with a bunch of crazy-looking monster creatures that are trying to cook him. And what we gather is, I think these are all in the same world, and they're all going to be coming together in the end. Because they started transitioning on the same page, not just alternate pages and stuff like that. So,
right.
And it's a lot. There's a lot going on here. So as far as like explaining what happens, we're gonna have to kind of wait and see where this goes. But I really enjoyed what I saw. I really liked it. I loved the designs. I love the Black Widow design especially. I thought that art was really great.
I like how like the different art transition throughout it, and that was really cool.
Considering it's the same. I want to say time. It's just they just changed the art completely.
I want to say, like, I guess the only part that looks like Spider-Man Reign are these two panels for like the Venom reveals in Spider-Man Reign.
Yeah, pretty cool though. I'm interested to see where it goes. I love a good alternate universe story. So
yeah, no, me too.
All right, now we're hitting the heavy hitters. Our last non-X-Men book is Daredevil number 32. Did you get it?
Yes.
Did you get it?
Oh fuck yeah, dude. Oh, I didn't even see that one. Oh, buddy, holy shit. Okay, I'm going to go out.
Fuck yeah, baby.
I want to go back for that one. I love how she just, like, didn't really finish it. Like, they're just, like, these broad strokes of the red.
Written by Chip Zdarsky, penciled by Mike Hawthorne, inked by Adriano Benedetto, colored by Marcio Meniz. Kind of an uneventful issue, except the end. Where we last left off on the cliffhanger, Bullseye's randomly killing people, basically, is what we get. And so we get this whole, like, Spectre of Bullseye over New York this entire issue, and Elektra's trying to find him, and we find out all the other heroes are trying to find him as well. I saw somebody who spoiled this book for me before it even came out.
Asshole.
By posting the parts with Kingpin and Typhoid Mary.
Oh, okay.
And they said, why am I shipping Kingpin and Typhoid Mary? And I'm like, okay. And then I read it and I'm like, yeah, I totally ship it. 100% I ship it. So,
yeah, no, I thought they were kind of getting a little close. Like the last or like the previous issue, there was just been like, yeah, there's definitely shipping involved now for sure.
And then we find out that Daredevil, is doing the FBI informant thing. So he's going to report on the warden. We see a bit with Butch, the Kingpin's son that's not the Rose, and where he just takes down Hammerhead like brutally, which was really great. Just a lot going on in this, and then there's another Bullseye shooting. Elektra goes to stop it. They have a fight, which I'm always worried when Elektra fights Bullseye because Marvel tends to like Bullseye.
Yeah, they're gonna make her lose. Yeah.
So, and then what we find out is, basically, there's multiple Bullseyes. There's at least 3.
Mm-hmm.
And are they clones?
He came out. They came out from a capsule last time we saw him. So, fuck, maybe.
That's horrible. If there's more than one Bullseye running around,
that is horrifying as fuck. Yes, that is dangerous.
But yeah, really, really good. Not a Chichetto art issue. I know he takes issues off once in a while.
But I did like how this person drew Spider-Man. Like the Spider-Man scene was really cool. I like how they're just like a little rugged. And it's like, you know what, Peter Parker would skip out a lot of, if not every shave day. I think this should be like more of a regular look for him.
He's too busy.
But I know they want to make him the
Spider-Man.
Yeah, but he needs to be all clean cut. But I like how he's just like, yo, I want to know, are you gonna be killing? And just like, dude, mind just business. Like you're asking me now. Like you're a little issues late.
Know at the time,
but then
like until the
time. But then like the fight with Bullseye, like again, like these 2 back-to-back weeks on these 2 people just like blocking point blank bullets. Like Gambit last week, like exploiting the bullets and just slapping it out. Elektra this time, she already had to have been swinging by the time she knew where Bullseye was going to shoot in order to block that one. Like this one in midair, like this one I'm talking about, like she would have had to known when and where she was going to shoot, and then think about that. My arm should have already been swinging by then.
Yeah.
It's just like, God damn, she's just so awesome.
Yeah, she's amazing. So really stepped up into the Daredevil mantle. So
absolutely, yeah.
All right,
dude, the cover for the next one, very Batman-like.
Yeah, that's dope. I love it. All right, let's talk about our X books, and we're starting with Wolverine.
Okay,
number 14, right? Yeah, 14.
Yes.
So I did get a. Oh no, that's not a variant. It's the normal issue. Okay. So. Oh yeah, creative team. Creative team, written by Benjamin Percy, drawn by Adam Kubert, colored by Frank Martin, and lettered by Corey Petit. So Wolverine's doing the investigation of who stole the Marauder, who stole the Shi'ar gems and everything like that from the Gala.
Mm-hmm.
And he runs into basically discovers it's a group of Erico mutants that are pirates that really just don't have any morals whatsoever and do whatever the fuck they want. And he fights one, and they gain mutual respect. It's great. And that
the Anti-Marauders book.
Yeah. So that could be it. That could just be the story. But then we get the reveal of who's really behind this, and Solemn is back from Ten of Swords. And I'm really happy because he should be a reoccurring Marvel or Wolverine villain, like Cyber and like
Oh, I definitely liked him from the get-go, too.
He should be one of those ones that pops up like Omega Red, Lady Deathstrike. That he should be in that canon, you know what I mean? So
just when you least expect it, it's like, oh my god, then this guy's just going to fuck up the whole plan. Like, when you least expect it, I get you.
So, pretty cool.
Also, shout out that what we discovered from the X-Men Comic-Con, Benjamin Percy has the coolest fucking voice
in existence.
The deepest voice. It's so good.
Watching panels because I was doing live reporting. I was watching it in 2x speed, and so it was like,
oh my god!
And he's like, I'm like,
so who's that one?
2x speed. I was like, it sounded like a normal voice, and then I'm like, no, it's 2 times. And then I put it back on 1 and went back, and it's just the deepest voice you've ever heard. And I'm like, oh my god,
it's so calming. It's not even like it is kind of intimidating. It's not like hot chocolate.
It's delicious. Like I love it. It's so great.
I loved it. Good.
That panel was so much fun, just because of everybody on it. Like
everybody involved, yes. Like the voices that needed to be involved to just speak out on like the house right now. Like Jonathan Hickman could have just like ran with it and then just been super cryptic about like future bullshit, but it was just the writers to really speak out right now. Vita,
just amazing. Like, and it's just Leah's the best. I love her so.
Uncle Dugan,
of course. Which leads us to great transition this way. Cable number 12.
Cool.
Written by Gary Dugan, drawn by Phil Noto, lettered by Joe Sabino.
Damn. Cable, you're relieved of your duty. Cable.
So young Cable petitions to bring old Cable back to help stop strife. And in the process basically gives up his spot because we can't have clones, and also young Cable has to become old Cable eventually now.
Yeah.
He has to go to the future. And so they take down Strife, long story short. We're not going to get into the blow-by-blow, because that really doesn't matter as much. So much as in the end... Oh, except for the fact that Strife... they're both full of gun on Strife, and he's just like, hey, I request amnesty. Crow is for all mutants, right? And they're like, I don't know. Did you hear what he said? It's like, I think he said, make it quick. Just so good. Love that shit. And then... Yeah, Kid Cable is saying goodbye, says goodbye to Hope, says goodbye to everybody, says goodbye to Cyclops, which was actually genuinely sad and stuff. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
And then Cable gives him a new type of arm, and he's like, hey, can I ask you one more question? Cable's like, no. He's basically like, you want to know if Krakoa works, you want to know if she ever wants to see you again, all that stuff. He's like, if you want it to happen, fight for it, basically. But then we do get to cut to the future where old Cable is with her. And I was like, So, that is cute. But yeah. And then we get basically that adult Cable is going to be working with Sword, is what I've gathered from this. Because his body size is the Sword compound. And Kid Cable goes forward to fight Strife in the future. And so, we might get him back one day. I don't know. We'll see. And then,
at this point, they can totally just Doctor Who it and just I'm just going to touch back really quick. If not a little older.
Yeah. And then all the kidnapped mutant babies are reunited, and they all have twins because, there were 10 babies in 5 families. So, and the last thing we see is a baby with one glowing eye, just like all of them.
Bum, bum, bum.
So Strife put himself into a baby, probably knowing him. So,
I mean, the whole thing were rituals, so it's I will probably, because to not be done with the character.
He cloned himself many times in this storyline, so.
Yeah, why not this fail safe? This book was great. So it made me think of obviously it's in a circle, we know that Cable is Kid Cable is Cable, but I love how this one, it's more like an infinity sign type of a loop. So so at this point, the Cable that we met in the 90s when he first appeared, so that was Kid Cable grown up, only we've been in love with our perception of an old man Cable, and now he's going back so he can be the Cable that we met first, but he really is Kid Cable. Oh my, it's such a great little circle of time travel.
Yeah, it's crazy. So all right, that brings us to our last book.
Yes.
Sword, number 7. And Josue's first dip into the last annihilation.
Mm-hmm.
All right. God, I love X-Men creativity right now. We're going to talk about why in a moment, but so good. Written by Al Ewing, drawn by Stefano Caselli, colored by Protobunker. Oh, that's a new one for me. Protobunker's for Cifuentes Sujo, and letter by Ariana Mayer. So
I was so glad the way you talked about Guardians last week, because I felt like I could actually easily follow this book, because it just jumps from Sword 6 to Sword 7. There's no chance. It's just a completely different book, and I felt like I knew what was going on based on everything you had described. So yeah, thanks for that.
So we open up with Hulkling letting Captain Glory out of his cage and being like, "I need your help." Glory being like, "Of course you do." So they're fighting mindless ones, which is cool. Captain Glory wipes out one of the gigantic giant ones. It's so cool, dope. But it's mindless ones are basically, there's a billion of them, so you can just send them forever. We'll talk about what's happening on Erico afterwards. We'll come back to that. So, so Captain Glory is like, I can just keep taking them out, and there's actually 2 mindless ones that surround him, and a really epic thing, they blast him from both sides with their eye lasers and kill each other just to stop him.
Yes.
It was brutal. And he's doing his little Admiral dedication as he's dying and shit. And they're calling for help, and they're like, we need help. Who can help us? And they're like, let's call Earth, they want to step up, and so they call Alpha Flight, and they don't get a response. And they're like, so
sons of bitches.
Get the Avengers or anything like that. And they're like, okay.
Sons of bitches
and
too.
They said, maybe it's time to call somebody else. And that's when they call Sword. And Abigail Brand has her team, and is like, we're going. And I believe Storm goes with them, which we'll talk about Storm in a moment. Actually, let's switch over to that part right now. Storm and Doom have dinner and are polite until they're not. That's pretty much the whole story. Doom is trying to be like, well, and she's like, I'm not putting up with your shit, basically. I like that he makes a point of now she's a queen instead of the wife of a king, which I thought was a really cool line. It's so good.
But he's just jabbing to see what's going to poke.
But basically he's saying, you guys are playing with fire, and she's like, fuck off, basically. And then we get the Sword group appears, and this is what we saw at the end of Empire.
Yes.
Where Hulkling was down, all these people are down and hurt, and Sword shows up, and she said, you really should have. I warned you back at your wedding party, Your Highness. Alpha Flight doesn't work. That's why I built something better. Let's go. And so they're saving him. Manifold's teleporting him out. They're doing a really great job. And they're like, basically and it seems like Manifold is like, you can't trust Henry Gyrick. Call the Avengers Direct next time. And then, in one of the coolest ways they've done this, they have an info page right before the last page. I'm just assuming you read the info page.
Oh, hell yeah, of course.
Basically, Abigail saw what was coming, knew the attack was going to happen. She was like, something like this is going to happen. And they're going to reach out to Alpha Flight and to Gyrick and to the Avengers. And she's like, I just couldn't have that.
Mm-hmm.
We need more allies, basically. So she interrupted the distress signal so that Alpha Flight never got it.
Yep.
So then they had to reach out to Sword.
Yep.
Which is devious, by the way. So,
and that's the thing. Like, I just when Abigail was turning around for me, because she was always just like at arm's length. Because like, I get that you mean well, but she's always been for like the greater good type of person. So you know what?
Good still.
Yeah, no, it is. But you know what? In this case, like, Beast and Abigail deserve each other for forever and all dark eternity. Like, they're both just terrible fucking people.
And they also cover up the fact that Scarlet Witch is dead. They don't tell Hulkling.
Yes, and that's crazy because Tommy is like freaking the fuck out. It's probably just phoning Billy right now.
So, and then we get the last thing of the info page is eventually the goal is, and everything is redacted except Storm.
Yes. What? Eventually the goal is Storm. Like, what?
And then I love that.
You're not going to run
that they're doing that where she's talking shit on Gyrick, and she's like, wouldn't surprise me. It's always the same in the Crisis. And then we get the info page, and then her last line is, "People show you who they really are." And I'm like,
yeah,
storytelling brilliance. I don't care what anyone says. X-Men are incredible right now.
Oh, absolutely. But yeah, no, if she's going after the Region of Soul title, like, bro, Abigail, just cut it. Just cut it.
I think they're trying to
stop.
Storm. I think they're going to try to make Storm more like that. Their whole thing is a further Storm, is what I think.
Okay.
So. All right, that's everything I got. Anything else you got, man? Anything else you want to bring up with?
Last congratulations to James Tynion IV for winning Best Writer.
Yes, definitely.
On the Eisners.
And congratulations to everybody that was put in the Hall of Fame this year. I want to give a special congratulations to Dave Cockrum, who doesn't get enough credit. That epic Chris Claremont era of X-Men? He's the one that drew it.
Oh, fuck yeah, okay.
So, that's Dave Cockrum. He did the Giant Size X-Men, that's Dave Cockrum. And he does not get the credit he deserves. And now he does. He's in the Hall of Fame. And also to, of course, one of my favorite people on the planet, Neil Gaiman. Congratulations.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us on We Have Issues. As far as finding out about us, on Twitter, you can find us at WHI Podcast. You can find me at WHI Podcast Keith, our producer Liz at WHI Podcast Liz, and Josue at Josue Reads Josue. You can also check us out our other show, Jukebox Vertigo, where we put together playlists based on a bi-weekly category, joined with friends, and it's a lot of fun. You can find that at Jukebox Vertigo on Twitter. You can also find both of these shows at Geek Elite Media as well as at geekelitemedia.com. And, of course, check out our third show, the one we do on the side with our friend Crozen, at Crozen __. And it's called Podcast Ultra. You can find it on Twitter at Ultra_podcast. That one is about video games and what we've been playing. That usually comes out on a Sunday. So you have a nice release schedule for us. This show comes out on a Saturday. Podcast Ultra every other Sunday. And Jukebox Vertigo every other Monday. So right all in a row. But thank you so much for joining us. We truly appreciate it. And don't forget to always geek out.
This concludes our broadcast. Beep.